Hi, I'm Sarah Richardson, and welcome to Big Bad Con presents Bluebeard's Bride. I will be running the game Bluebeard's Bride tonight for a couple of lovely people who supported Big Bad Con. Please be aware that this game is a mature horror game based on the fairy tale Bluebeard, and it has the theme of feminine horror. This means that some themes may be addressed, such as sexual assault, child abuse, drugs, and I really like to describe terrible things in detail. So if you will find this kind of content disturbing, you may not want to watch this video. Oh, and there will be swearing. There will probably be swearing. With me, I have some great guys. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Doug. Hello.
My name's Bay, and I'm already creeped out even before we start.
My name is Yoshi.
And hi everybody, my name is Chuck.
Once again, thank you guys for playing with me. And just remember that at any time you can motion to me or type X in the group chat, and I will stop doing terrible things to you. So, how we play Bluebeard's Bride, the first thing we do is I tell you a fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a lovely young maiden who lived in a village. She lived with her mother and her brother. And their life was pleasant enough, although poor. But the girl tried not to think about it too much as she went about her daily business. I mean, she did not know any different. One day, a nobleman came to their village, and the rumors spread like wildfire that he was very rich and in search of a wife. But then the rumors told another story, that he was hideously ugly and his beard was blue. So all of the noble women took their daughters and met with the man, and all of them said no. But still the nobleman stayed. And one day he walked through the village, and he saw the girl. And he said, that one will be my wife. He went to the girl's mother, and he told her, I will take care of your family for the rest of your life if your daughter marries me. And the woman went to her daughter and told her of his offer, and sat with her and waited. And the girl looked at her life, and looked at her family, and decided that perhaps he wasn't that ugly, and perhaps his beard isn't that blue. So she agreed to marry the man. They had a gorgeous wedding, the biggest the village had ever seen. She had a beautiful gown, and there were flowers everywhere. Everyone was invited to the reception, and afterwards, Bluebeard, the nobleman, took her back to his house. After a few days, he went to the girl and told her, my dear, I am very sorry, but I must leave on business. However, I want you to feel at home. Here are the keys to every room in the house. Take them. Go through every chest, every closet. Play with all the fine things that you find. But do not go into my study. And then he left her alone. And the girl invited all of her childhood friends, and they had parties, and they ate rich food and tried on the beautiful clothes and rare jewelry. But the girl still wondered, what could be in that study, and what could her husband be hiding? After all, weren't they going to share a life together? So her friends became annoying, and she sent them away. And she stood for a long time in front of that study door with the key in her hand, telling herself she should not go inside. But curiosity won out, so she put the key in the lock, turned it, and opened the door. Inside the room were the bodies of all the women Bluebeard had married before and who had also given in to their curiosity. The girl screamed and fainted away. But when she came to, it was still the same, a room full of dead bodies. So she locked it back up, but as she turned away, she saw that the key was stained with blood. All that night, she scrubbed that key with sand and with oil, but the blood wouldn't come off. And in the morning, her husband returned, and he kissed her, and she tried to pretend that everything was fine. But he noticed that she looked a little pale, and he asked for his keys. She ran to get them, and she hid the small key and gave him back the other ones. But he noticed, and he asked, "Wife, where is the key to my study?" And she said, "Oh, I hid that. I put it away to make sure I didn't use it." And he shook his head and said, "No, I need that key." So she went and thought about what to do. And then she came back and said, "I've lost it. I can't find your key." And he said, "Wife, I know you lie to me. Bring me my key." And so she went and she fetched the key, although she knew what was going to happen. And when she turned it over to him, Bluebeard shook his head and said, "I knew you were just like the rest." And he grabbed her by the hair and he dragged her to that study. Now, in some versions of the fairy tale, at this point, the girl's brother arrives and saves her. In other versions, it's her mother who will show up and save the girl from Bluebeard. And in some modern feminist retellings, sometimes she even gets to save herself. But in the original fairy tale, she died. For this fairy tale was a lesson on how you should obey your husband. Now there's a difference between the fairy tale I just told you and the game we're going to play tonight. You are going to be playing as the bride of Bluebeard, and you will be going through and exploring your new house. But we do not know yet exactly what is in Bluebeard's room or what his intentions are. The purpose of this game is for you to find out how your story ends. So, the first thing we're going to do is have you figure out which part of the bride you're going to be playing. Now, there is a mechanic that will seem a little odd online to help figure out who's in charge of the physical body, but all of you are going to be playing parts of her mind. And this should mimic the way you sometimes argue with yourself whenever you're very tempted to do something but know it's a bad idea, or just how the different parts of yourself don't always agree. So, you all have access to a file called Playbooks. So, you have a choice between the Animus, the Fatale, the Mother, the Virgin, and the Witch. So I am going to read the description for each of these for our viewers. But you guys look them over, and then whenever you have questions, please feel free to ask. So the Animus, you hold on to righteousness with both hands. Others admire your strength and bow to your will. Avoid arousing your temper, for weakness and pain lie down that path. The Fatale, you drip sensuality from your lips. Others watch your every move and crave for you to take control. Defy temptation, for danger rides on the sway of your hips. The Mother, you are the one who walks with authority. Others crave your approval and long for you to soothe their wounds. Do not disturb the monster lurking behind your sweet face. The Virgin. You see beauty where there is none. Others see comfort in your warmth and delight in your obedience. Beware the lure of your innocence, for it breeds menace. And the Witch. You listen to dark whisperings that live in the shadows. Others hang on your every word and tremble at your obscene hunger. Take heed not to cause offense, for you traffic with danger itself. Now, no playbook is required to play this game. You can all play whatever you want, but if you have played before, I will simply ask that you play a different playbook. Any questions so far?
Does anybody have a playbook that's jumping out at them?
I'm interested in either the witch or the animus.
Cool. I'm kind of leaning towards the Virgin.
Awesome.
Doug, we can't hear you.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I was looking at the Virgin too.
That's fine. Do you want to play the Virgin? I can look at one of the other ones. I don't really want to play the Animus or the Mother just because I played the Animus last time, and the Mother I feel is not the same, but I want to play something more different.
Oh, I'll play the mother. That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
feel
calling me.
Yeah, I feel like Chuck would make a good mother.
Okay.
All right, so Chuck is playing the Mother.
Doug, do you want
Yep,
to
looks like it.
Yeah,
Doug, you
I'll
want
take
to
the
stick with the
Virgin.
Virgin?
Sure.
Doug is the Virgin. Now, how about you other two?
Okay.
I'll take the witch.
All right. That means I'm probably going to play the Fatale.
Excellent. Okay.
So nobody's playing the animus?
No animus for you guys, which is perfectly fine. All right. So whenever you look at your sheet, on the left-hand side is a section called Wedding Preparations. This is how we make the woman that you are, as well as figure out a little bit about how you interact with each other, because you will be interacting with each other. So, and I have the sheets right here, so that will be handy. So we're going to go around and ask some questions and find out some answers. And let's start with the witch. Witch, what is the bride's hair like, and how do others like you to wear it?
The bride has very long hair that she can wear wrapped around her head and pinned up in like a coil.
Mm-hmm.
However, others prefer the bride to wear it in a long a long braid down her back that reaches down to the back of her knees.
Yes.
Dark colored, very dark brown. So dark brown that some might mistake it for black.
And what texture is it?
Very fine. In fact, so fine that if it weren't so long, a strand of her hair that was found on the ground would be almost invisible.
Excellent. All right. Mother, what is the bride's figure like, and what do others wish was different about it?
I imagine that she is slim and lithe, that she has a fine bone structure, and almost looks fragile. People wish that people worry for her health, and people wish that she was more buxom, had some weight on her, looked a little bit more healthy.
Excellent. Virgin. What do the bride's eyes look like, and how do others know you want them when they gaze into your eyes?
I think her eyes are very dewy, and they're a kind of icy blue color. And people know that she wants them because she has a very sort of penetrating stare.
So when she looks at people and they look back, does she look away or continue to look into their eyes?
I think she continues looking.
All right, and Fatal. What does the bride's mouth look like, and how do others keep her quiet?
We have a full and glossy and shiny lips, and the best way to keep me quiet is to agree with me, because when there's nothing for me to argue against, I'll just smile and try to keep your gaze otherwise.
So you're not afraid to argue with people?
Nope.
Or of confrontation?
Nope. Though I feel like some others might not feel the same way as I do.
That's true. Although you're all the same woman, the different parts of your mind have very different feelings on things. Now, the rest of the questions are all the same for each of the playbooks. And I would like you to keep in mind that in the game we are playing, you have not yet married Bluebeard, you have not yet gone to his house, but you have met him. So, let's go the other way around. Fatal, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
The anonymity that comes with being poor. I have like the freedom to walk around, to wander, to gaze at others, to draw their gaze, without too many repercussions of it, because I'm just another poor girl in the town. And now that's going to change.
Definitely. Now you're going to be a noble woman.
Yep.
Now, Virgin, what are you leaving behind?
I'm leaving behind my old peasant dresses. I'm taking on a new style.
And are you looking forward to this, or do you...
Oh, yeah.
You will finally have nice things.
Yeah, exactly.
Mother, what are you leaving behind?
I'm leaving behind hunger. I'm leaving behind leftovers and scrounging and eating cabbage and potatoes. I'm looking forward to finally being satiated.
Excellent. And Witch, what are you leaving behind?
I'm leaving behind my younger sister, who, though she's 4 years younger than me, we are as close as sisters could possibly be, and we share everything. I tell her all my fears and everything I'm wishing for, as she does to me too. I don't know what will happen to either of us without the other one. But
Now what? Yes.
let's go.
Now what is her name?
Her name is Anna.
All right. our next question. And I'm going to start with you, Fatal. What loving gesture did Bluebeard make when you first met that won you over?
He promised to hold a midwinter ball every year, where everybody could get together and feast and celebrate and dance, and I could still see everybody else, and it would be a time where everybody could kind of get together, and I could see my old family, my old friends, and everybody would have this joyous occasion in the middle of winter.
Okay. And what about you, Virgin?
So when we first met, you noticed that one of my shoes was unbuckled, and he said, "Oh, your shoe's unbuckled. I don't want you to fall." And he knelt down and he buckled my shoe, and I could see this little bald spot on the top of my head, and there was just something about that moment.
Very nice. Mother?
Mother?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I thought you were thinking.
I think the audio. No, I think the audio is dropping out. I think words are occasionally dropping, and I didn't hear Mother. I'm thinking that he offered to take care of my mother and Anna and our goat, Gordon.
No one has ever named a goat before. So that's interesting.
Yes.
All right. And Witch, what loving gesture did he do for you?
Well, when it was decided, or when I with my mother decided that I would go indeed marry Bluebeard, it was not without a great amount of trepidation. And so the first time I saw him after that, and it was known that we were to be married, we could not stand too close to him. And he let us have that space. And in fact, we met in a bench outside one of the public buildings, and he sat down next to me, and I could not help but scoot away, and all he did was look at me and smile and gently give me my space.
All right. We're doing good here, guys. All right. Now, for the next question, this has to be an object, in an actual thing that you use for the answer. And we're going to start with Mother. So, Mother, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
I presented fine oils for his beard to keep it smooth and untangled.
All right. Next up is Witch. What did you give your husband?
My husband to be?
Yes.
Well, when I gazed around my house, there were very few things I could give, and the things that I did, among the things I wanted to give, was some sort of thing that could decorate him for our wedding, but nothing around our house I thought could possibly match the finery that his wealth could buy. So I went out to the woods and found a robin's egg that had been newly hatched, and I reassembled it with some sticky resin until it was a perfect oval again, and made it into a necklace that he would wear around his neck during our wedding.
So you found this robin's egg to be fine? Did it mean anything to you?
It did. It meant a new beginning, and I felt it was a new beginning for me and a new beginning for him as we are both embarking on this new thing, marriage.
All right. Fatale, what gift did you choose?
I chose a small wooden heart, probably half the size of a palm. It was carved into wood. I wanted to give him something that represented us and something that he could keep in his pocket, something that he could feel and feel the texture of, and remind him of us when he was away, since I know he goes away on travel so often.
Anne Virgin, what is your gift?
Yeah, you know, we don't have much.
No, you don't.
But one thing that people don't know is that Gordon is actually female, and one of the few ways that we make money is by selling her milk and making cheese. And when I first met him, I gave him some of this goat cheese, and it was delicious.
So why did you want to share the goat cheese with him?
Well, I'm very proud of it. It's not easy to make cheese from that goat, let me tell you.
I like Gordon already. All right,
the whole village likes Gordon.
Well,
yeah, that doesn't bode well for Gordon.
Maybe not.
Now we have one last question to further flesh out our bride. And I'm going to start with the witch this time. Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions?
I want to trust him, but
that sounds like a maybe.
After we had declared our upcoming marriage and we were walking through the village, I saw him be quite unkind to some other women who were walking by us. In fact, without a thought, he would walk right by them and force them to go squeeze right by the edge of the walkway, almost into the muddy path where the carts would run. I saw him actually push, though gently, another woman out of the way when she was blocking the doorway in which we wanted to enter. I felt his rudeness actually belied something that was a little disturbing.
Very nice. Fatale, what about you?
I think I don't trust him. He's away on business, and he has the ability to show and make promises, and I think that those promises often get him what he wants. And I don't know if that is always in my best interest.
What do you mean?
I think that when people always get what they want, they don't necessarily understand the plight of people who don't have everything that they want.
Okay. Virgin, do you trust your husband?
Of course I trust him. He's a wealthy noble. Why shouldn't I trust him?
Okay. So your feeling is mainly based on his rank.
Yes. And my familiarity with it.
You mean because you aren't noble yourself?
Right. Yeah. I mean, common people are terrible. You can't trust them for anything. They steal and lie and cheat. But nobles,
They're kind,
fantastic.
Right?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Okay. And mother, do you trust your husband?
No, he's a man. He'll betray us just like father did.
And how did father betray you?
He abandoned us.
All right. Excellent. So now let's focus on all of you a little bit. As a note, while playing this game, most people, the different parts of the mind do talk to each other, and I encourage you to do that all the time. People normally refer to each other as sister and use pronouns she and her, although you should do whatever you're comfortable with. So next up, we're going to do your stats. This is on the right-hand side of your sheet. And one of your stats is already filled out for you. Fill in the others with a 0 and a -1. Your stats are blood, which is your connection to the horrific, carnality, your expression against the horrific, and resilience, your ability to tolerate the horrific. Do you guys have questions?
What do you mean by, yeah, what does it mean by your connection to the horrific?
So blood is connected to childbirth and magic and the blood in your own body. It's whenever you see something terrible, you find something of yourself in it.
And then I'm sorry, your expression against the horrific?
Yes, carnality is all about your body. So whether you hit something, you use your sexuality, all based in your body. Don't worry, once we go over the moves, it'll make more sense.
Okay.
All right. Once you have those filled out, that will take us to your face, which is on the left-hand side of your sheet. This is a move that you can do and only you can do. So I realize I left out. Bluebeard's Bride is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which means that we'll be rolling 2d6 and adding one of your stats to determine what happens in some cases. Now, you'll notice that for your face, you do not have to roll dice. You can use this move at any time. It overrides everything else, and there's no limit to how many times you use it. You don't have to tell your sisters what move you take either, although I would like to know. And once again, if you have questions, let me know.
So, hold it. We can do all three, or we have to choose one and only one to use during the entire game?
Only
you
one?
You have 3?
Some of you have different numbers of moves. You can only choose one.
Okay.
So, Sarah, I took the dancer.
Excellent. Fantastic choice.
The witch took the viper.
Interesting choice.
The virgin is taking the victim.
Then we'll take the bear.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. This is going to be fun. So now that we've done wedding preparations, your face and stats, now it's time to learn a little bit about each other and how you feel about each other. And these are your sisterly bonds. Each of you has a statement and then 2 bullet points to fill in with the names of one of your sisters. So we're going to go around again. If you want to read your statement and then your first bullet point and let us know which sister that applies to. And let's start with the virgin.
So I think the mother blackens my innocence with her every move.
Blackens?
Yes, blackens my innocence. Because she makes me feel old. She makes me feel old and not so innocent. The fatale often helps me play tricks on the others. Because she lures them in closer. I don't know.
Now, when was the time she helped you play a trick?
I think in that one of those early moments when Bluebeard buckled my shoe, I knew it was unbuckled. I unbuckled it myself with my other foot. And as he was bending over, I gently touched the bald spot on the top of his head. And I really liked that.
Did he notice you touching him?
No. He thought it was the wind. And I said, "My, it's really breezy today."
Now, to go back for a moment, what did the mother ever do to you?
The mother keeps me in those old ugly dresses. She keeps me in the house doing chores. Yeah, that's what she does to me.
So she doesn't let you have any fun?
No.
Okay.
She doesn't let me take risks either.
Well, in that case, I believe we should hear from the mother next.
Okay. Well, the fatale irritates me with her obstinance. And I trust the witch to have my back.
Now, when was the time you were irritated? With the witch, you said, right?
With the fatale.
With the fatale.
Yes. I was irritated with her when she insisted on luring the boys around town, and I told her that it was not good for her safety nor her reputation.
That's a good point. Reputation. Something a young woman has to look after.
That is so like the mother.
Yes, that is true, but I have the advantage of being right.
Now, what about for your second bond?
I trust the witch to have my back because I'm right and she can dish out the punishment.
Was there a particular time they had your back when others disagreed with you?
When the fatale and the virgin were thinking about Robert, and Robert is a nice lad in town.
He's the blacksmith's apprentice. Like, he has got a nice upper body, and it's often really hot, and like you can just go over there, you bring him a cup of water, he thanks you, he's nice.
And I have only thought about Robert out in public where other people were around. I never thought about him in the dark when I was alone. I'm just saying.
Okay, but the only thing Robert has is a nice upper body. He has no money. He has no responsibility. When I pointed this out to the Virgin of Fatale,
we said, but he made that really nice chain for Gordon. You always forget about that.
He always makes the best horseshoes. Like, as long as we keep going there and we just gaze at him.
So many things about him.
Like, we get discounts on all the horseshoes.
Sometimes when he's sweaty, he like unties his shirts. I'm just saying.
Horseshoes and chains are farming implements. You're not thinking big enough, girls. You need to think. And I know that the witch agrees with me here. She also wants bigger and better things for all of us.
Oh, yes.
That's
and we
true.
go about getting them.
Oh.
And that seems like a good cue for the witch to do her bonds.
Well, my sisters, they're not nearly as important as power is. But I find the Fatale a useful tool. When there are certain, shall we say, rituals that we must perform, and sometimes the rituals require a young man, such as Robert, I can rely on the Fatale to entice them into the woods, perhaps at dusk, when a young man and young woman should not be seen together, and make sure that afterwards the young man no longer recalls that he was there and what happened.
Very nice.
On the other hand, I would say that the Virgin draws an evil to her. And that evil, I've had many times to stop the Virgin's surprisingly naive flirtations. She's not the Fatale, I should say. She doesn't know what she's doing. Yet, she's doing it. And I have to rein her in, perhaps, with a sudden cramp in our side, or perhaps a sudden momentary cough. I've even had to force her to vomit at certain points.
You are very dedicated.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like it's time for our last sister to do her bonds.
So I think the mother has no idea of a woman's true power.
Apparently not, if she is vomiting in front of men.
Yeah, so the mother is, I guess, a little bit too shy and not willing to take risks and take control of things that we can take control of, to take advantage of what we have. And so I wish to teach her and make her realize what capabilities we actually have and to actually use them. She's too cautious. I try to draw in the witch with my seductive aura, and I keep up the facade because she keeps using me, but really, I don't mind the way that she uses me, and I think that if I can get her to trust me more, then I can use her in return and garner some of that power to facilitate my own ends.
Excellent. Okay. Now, the last thing on your character sheet, and by the way, you guys all did great. That was awesome. The last thing on your character sheet is your trauma track. Now, Bluebeard's Bride, trauma is mental as well as physical. And whoever provokes the trauma can choose to take it alone, but if not, everyone takes trauma. And what that means is if you are harmed or if you see something particularly terrible, I will tell you the bride is taking trauma. If she takes trauma, all of you will mark off however many hearts I tell you of trauma you're taking. But if one of you wants, you can step forward and take it for the rest of the bride. It doesn't mean you take more. It just means that your sisters will not take trauma. Whoever is in control of the body will lose control of the body if she takes trauma and must pass that to someone else. We'll talk about tokens in a moment. And an important thing to note, you have 5 hearts. When a trauma track fills, that sister shatters. A shattered sister begins a different part of the game. Your part in the game is not over. So don't worry if you shatter. Does anyone have any questions yet? Okay. So, next up, I'm not going to read out all of the moves. Because for one thing, I want to be able to talk through the entire game and not lose my voice. But I am going to point out that there are 3 different kinds of moves. A maiden move, anyone can make at any time. And please pay attention specifically to investigating a mysterious object, because you'll probably be using that move most often. Now, there are things called ring moves. If we were in a physical space, you would be passing around a wedding ring to represent who's in charge of the physical body. Since we're not, I've got a ring, and I will be keeping track of who has it on my sheet, although you guys should also keep track for yourself. Whoever has the ring, they have special moves that only they can make, and they're the final word on what the body does. If the fatale has the ring, and the virgin is like, yes, I want to go touch that scary, horrific thing, and the fatale says, no, we're not, you do not go and touch it. Same with speaking. Unless otherwise noted, if you say something and the person with the ring doesn't object, the bride says that out loud. Now, there are different moves under the ring. And with the maiden and the ring moves, something important to notice is the majority of them do not require you to roll dice. They simply happen. We determine what happens after you ask questions or perform an action. But there are 3 moves that you roll. You roll 2d6 and you'll add your stat that applies. You can also at any point voluntarily give up the ring. So if you decide you do not want to deal with what's currently going on and you pass the ring, you're immune from trauma until that sister passes the ring as well. And I'll ask you guys to keep track of that. Do you guys have any questions so far? And probably the best way to do this is if you want to do something, tell me what it is you want to do, and I'll help you figure out which move you need to make. Now, the final kind of move is an exit move. So like I said earlier, Bluebeard's Bride is an exploration game. I mean, it's a horror game, but you explore during it. So you'll be going through rooms. And once you enter a room, you'll be trying to figure out what happened in the room, to who it happened, and why. You may not know for sure that you have the right answer, but that's okay. This is your interpretation of what you find. You'll tell me what you think happened, and then you can make an exit move. Now you can try and get out of a room without proposing a truth about what happened in there, but it's going to be kind of hard to get out. But if you do propose a truth, you're going to take a token. Either a token of faithfulness, which proves you're closer to proving that your trust in your husband is well placed, and all of you will heal a trauma. But if you decide that what you found in the room supports your unkind suspicions towards your husband, you'll take a token of disloyalty and mark 1 trauma. It'll make more sense after we do the first room. And so the structure we'll take now is I will be describing your wedding day and getting dropped off at the house by Bluebeard. We will go through the first room, and then we'll take a short break. One, so your GM can eat her dinner, and also so you guys can kind of process what just happened. and figure out a few questions you want to ask me. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. All right. And there is a sheet to keep track of how many tokens that you take. This is the sheet you see called the bride. And so they're physical objects that you take, but don't worry too much about the physics of how you're carrying stuff around in a pocketless wedding dress. And you can see once you fill up one of the token tracks, the final part of the game will begin. So let's get started. It is your wedding day. Your mother wakes you up at dawn and helps you get dressed in the fine silk that Bluebeard sent you. She has to help you get into it. It's not a dress you can put on yourself. It's far fancier and more complicated than anything you have ever worn. And then you go to the church, and everyone you know is there, and they watch you walk down the aisle towards Bluebeard, who is standing there in a fine suit, his beard neatly oiled, the robin's egg around his neck. You repeat the vows, and when the priest instructs Bluebeard to kiss you, he smells like cloves and leather. Then you go to the reception. Everyone in the village is there. But you stay up at the high table, drinking champagne, because you notice that all of the women seem to be talking and whispering and looking at you, and then looking away if you look at them. You know they're talking about you and the bargain you made with your new husband. You drink a little too much champagne. And you watch the sun go down and the clouds start to roll in. And then Bluebeard comes for you. He helps you into the carriage. It's drawn by a matching set of 4 black horses, and they light the gas lamps. But it's dark inside the carriage. And he helps you up, your big skirts crinkling and hard to navigate in. And he doesn't crowd you. He sits across the carriage from you, but he stares at you, up and down, in all the ways he had not looked at you before. And it is a long carriage ride. Finally, the carriage stops, and Bluebeard helps you out. You know the footman. You can hear him messing with your luggage and see him carrying it inside, but you're much more interested in the house in front of you. It's dark now, so most of the light only comes from the gas lamps on the carriage. But in front of you is a giant house. It's bigger than any structure in your village. It's 3 stories tall, and you can see wings stretching out to either side, and all that glass glitters as you hear the slow rumble of thunder. Bluebeard helps you up the steps to this giant wooden door, and as you get closer you can see it's carved with faces around the frame. Some of them smile, some of them leer. They seem to move a little in the flickering light as he carries you over the threshold. The door closes behind you. Bluebeard sets you down. And it takes you a minute to kind of get your balance, and you grab onto his sleeve, which makes him smile. But then, once you're steady, he lets go and walks away from you. You're in an entry hall. The ceiling soars overhead, so high you can't see it, and the hallway descends back into shadow. There is a table near the door. It's made of fine wood, and you can see that the base of it is made out of iron, and it is cast as if it were vines climbing up, and you realize some of the vines are snakes. You think your eyes are getting blurry. The only light comes from a candle on the table, and there is a letter. Bluebeard has opened it and is reading it. And after a few minutes, he stuffs it in his pocket and comes back to you. My dear, I am so sorry. I hate for our wedding to start out like this. I was so looking forward to tonight and showing you our house and starting our life together. But business, very urgent, calls me away, and so I must leave you here. But here, take the keys to the house. I know it is proper for the woman of the house to have copies of all the keys, and I made sure that this was made in advance. I want you to become familiar with your new home, make yourself comfortable. However, I have a favor to ask. While I know we have joined our life together, and we are man and wife now, I think it's healthy in a relationship to have some of our own space. So I ask that you not go into my study. There's nothing in there, some leather chairs, some old books. But it's my personal space where I can go to unwind. So I ask that you respect this. But here are the keys. Now I will be back soon, and please know that this does not reflect on my feelings for you. He kisses you again and leaves. The door closes behind you, and you are alone in Bluebeard's house. Your shoes are too tight, your dress is very heavy, and you're a little bit drunk. You hear the rain begin to hit the windows, and you hear thunder again. Now, the gift that pleased Bluebeard the most was the fatales. And so the fatale has the ring.
Well, I think first things first, we need to change out of these shoes and get out of this dress. It is beautiful, and these shoes are lovely, but there's no one here to impress, and so therefore we should make ourselves more comfortable.
Certainly. It sounds like you want to try and look for maybe a room to where your stuff is.
Yeah, so I want to look for a room where my stuff is. So I'll probably look at the keys and try to find a key that is very like delicate, maybe like silver, something that would be proper for the wife of the house, for their bedroom, something that would be fancy, but also something that could be used well off, not so delicate that it never gets used.
Now, whenever you find a key and you're like, this must be the key.
Right.
When you hold it in your hand, is it heavy for its appearance, or is it as light as it looks like it should be?
It's a little bit heavier than you would think it would be, which gives me some reassurance that it's got some ability to hold up to it, to some wear.
Delicate but strong.
Yeah.
But sister, we might have the key to our room. That doesn't really tell us where our room is.
Then we'll have to go explore. I would assume that the room has to at least be on the second floor, for we would have a balcony that would overlook the garden.
Surely.
That would be the only proper thing.
Surely Bluebeard would have thought of such a thing for us.
Now, before you walk away from that table, do you want to take the candle with you?
Yes, I would like to take the candle with us.
So you walk down the hall, and there are doors on either side. And your fancy shoes click against the wood. Ahead of you is a set of stairs. It goes up one set of stairs and then turns to the left at a landing. And you can see that there is a stained glass window at the top of the stairs. As you walk up the stairs, you run your hand on the banister, and you can see that The balustrades are carved, and they look like more snakes are winding around each other and holding up the banister. Now, when you get to the landing, do you look at the window?
Yeah, I take a moment to kind of like center myself in the stairs as they kind of look up towards the window and see what this window, the stained glass is that I will probably be seeing for the rest of my life.
So as you stand there, you can tell that it is stained glass and there are rich jewel colors in it. But you're having a little trouble making out what's in it.
If I bring up the candle, does it become any clearer?
Yes, it does. Because as you bring up the candle, a cat comes in and starts meowing. Oh, kitty! It is the internet.
There must be cat
quiet?
videos.
He's a talker, so please ignore him. Oh, and we just lost somebody.
Hey, Doug, you okay?
Doug. I blame you, Puka.
Doug?
Is he okay?
He says he hit something wrong.
Startled by a cat.
It happens. They're cats. They startle. Well, I can see he rejoined, but I wasn't sure if he could hear us yet. Yay!
All right.
Excellent.
So as you raise your candle, lightning flashes behind the window, bringing the image into relief. You can see it's a woman. She has long dark hair, much like yours, and bright blue eyes. But there are flowers caught in her hair. And not just her eyes are blue, also her lips. And you can tell those are water lilies in her hair. She is underwater, staring back at you with a smile on her lips.
Kind of take that and look up, turn around, and try to walk up the rest of the stairs with my hand on the banister, just kind of feeling my way up as I walk up away from this woman, looking for my room, a place to take off my shoes.
Do we decide to caress the snakes carved in the banister?
Well, I took those as not being on the banister itself, because if they were on the banister, I would be running a finger all along one, trying to trace it all the way up to the top.
Of course they're on the banister.
Then I'm tracing one as it goes up all the way to the top, as it winds around.
Only because no one is looking. If there was someone here, then it would be different.
Right. If there was somebody here, I would be caressing it more fondly.
Oh.
So you run your hands over, and it's this very smooth wood. It's very well carved. The artist actually carved in the scales, suggestions of them at least. So it's very, very pleasing to run your fingers over this regular pattern. Mm-hmm. And when you get to the top of the stairs, and you get to the head of the snake, and you run your hand over it, you run your hand over its eye, and you feel for just a second it's wet. And you feel it quiver against your fingertip.
I kind of like look down at it and try to see like the things that are inevitably poking out, and maybe like I just touch one just gently to see how sharp it is.
You run your finger over the fang, and it's not sharp at all. It's made of wood.
Maybe it was just the champagne that made us feel like it was moving.
Shake my head and I'm like, I've got to get this dress off. It's making me hard to breathe. It must be the dress.
Certainly.
That's what you always say, sister.
So you go up into the upper hallway, and there are more doors on either side. But one of the early doors catches your eye. The lock matches the key that you think belongs to your bedroom.
kind of look around and approach the door, and then take the key out and slide it into the lock and twist it open, and then push the door in.
You put the key in the lock, you turn the key, you open the door and you go inside. The door closes behind you. You are now inside a room and cannot leave without making an exit move. So, the first thing that strikes you about this room is the smell of wet dirt. There's a lot of humidity in the air. You can feel it against your skin. And you take a deep breath, and it smells like flowers, and underneath that is the smell of rot. You raise your candle and look around, and you can see that overhead the ceiling is made of glass. And in front of you are paths that move forward, and there are flower beds in between the paths. In front of you is a bench, and it is sitting in front of a fountain that is currently on. You can hear the trickling water. The room itself seems to end in darkness, but you can also see a small pile of tools next to the bench. Now, I've described several items. You can go further into the room and investigate them.
I want to look for another source of light, like maybe a lantern or something, maybe where something might hang to illuminate it, particularly around the fountain or the bench, because I figure that would be a good place for somebody to sit and look at things, and I figure it might be a good place where there might be a lantern or some sort of light source.
So you walk closer to the bench, kind of glancing over the pile of tools. It's definitely gardening stuff, and the bench itself seems very finely made. As you start looking for light, you see that in the flower bed behind the fountain, there is a little sparkle of light. Do you want to go closer?
Yeah, I would like to go closer.
So you walk forward, and you can see that there are these orbs buried in the dirt halfway, and they're all glowing very faintly with this blue light. And behind the flower bed, a woman is kneeling, and she's digging in the dirt with her hands.
Hello
there.
there. Yeah, I think we should. What is your name? I am the new lady of the house.
And the woman doesn't look up. What you can see of her is she has dark hair, and it's pulled back, similar to how you normally wear your hair. She seems to be wearing dark clothes, and her head is down as she digs. So mainly you can see her hands moving. They're very pale. And she starts shaking her head and digging faster. What do you do?
I think I kind of go sort of like half kneel down to bring my head towards like where the level of her head is, and I try to get her attention again, maybe putting a hand on her shoulder and saying, excuse me, I'm the new lady of the house. What is your name? I'm looking for my room, my bedroom. I haven't found it yet.
Now, are you trying to care for someone and show her that she can stop her efforts and talk to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So it sounds like you are talking to her very kindly.
Yeah.
So this is the move when you care for someone, either a servant or a whore.
Mm-hmm.
You ease their suffering and bridle their torment. They may demand a demonstration of your sincerity. So she's still shaking her head, but she does stop digging at the dirt, and she folds her hands in her lap. Now, with her head down, there are some strands that are free, and they're kind of falling in front of her face. She still does not answer you.
I take my hand and I brush the strands of her hair, like that are hanging in front of her face, and tuck them behind her ears. And I'm like, it's okay. Tell me what's going on. I just want to find my room. I want to take these shoes off and change into something more comfortable. You seem to know your way around here. I was hoping maybe you could help me.
So you brush back her hair, and she lifts her head finally and looks at you. But she does not answer. For as she looks at you, you can see she has kind, warm brown eyes and this little snub nose. But underneath that, her mouth, there's something wrong with her lips. Instead of lips, there's just this bloody flesh, and it has been sewn shut.
I see that you can't. What has happened?
You seem a little nonplussed by that.
Yeah. I am, but I'm trying to think of like how to.
We're still so confused. We're trying to communicate with her through
Right.
Didn't we see a pair of garden shears by the tools by the bench?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
So why don't we? So with that, I look at her, and I say, I take my hand, I put it on her shoulder, and I look at her eyes, and I say, hold on one moment, I'll be right back, and I go and grab the garden shears, and then I bring them. When I come back, I want to bring them like holding them up and bring them slowly. Is like, I want to free your lips. I want to allow
That's what you
you.
always say, sister.
So as you come back with the shears,
Yeah.
trying to be very slow and non-aggressive with them, and the woman is watching you with no expression on her face, you hear a man's voice from the shadows, and he says, "She doesn't need to talk to you. She's not any good for speaking. All she does is argue."
But sometimes a little bit of arguing makes things more interesting.
Who is she?
And so with both of these statements, a man walks out of the shadows. He is wearing dirty trousers, a dirt-stained shirt that is partially open so that you can see his finely chiseled upper half. And he is very attractive. He's a little bit younger than you. And he says, her name doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what all women are good for, if they're good women.
And with that, I kind of like walk towards him, and I brush off a piece of like dirt that's on his shoulder, and I look at him and I'm like, surely there can be something that you can do to help me find my room. Since she is not willing to speak and cannot speak.
Sister,
Oh,
are you
You seem to
sister.
be the one in charge.
Sister, we are married now.
I'll let you all decide this.
Are you going
Sister?
to simply ignore his statements?
I'm just looking out for us. I want to get out of these shoes, and I need to find a place. And this person obviously has some clear ideas of how the world works. If we just play into that, then we can hopefully get him to show us where we need to go.
Perhaps, but we will remember this room. We know how to get back here.
So you did touch him, and you did say that.
Mm-hmm.
And he smiles, and he moves closer to you. He is invading your personal space. He's close enough you can feel the heat of his body because he is very warm. He's sweating.
I lick my lips, and I look back at him, and I go, all I have is a simple request. I just need to find my room and get out of these shoes and into something a little bit more comfortable. I'm sure you could help us with that, couldn't you?
He nods, reaches forward, grabs the front of your dress, and tears it.
I scream.
No.
You don't
I take
allow
his
her
hand.
to scream?
No, I don't want to scream yet. I want to like grab his hand as he's like, that is not how I want this to get done. If you have such clear intentions, there's ways that could happen and things could work out that way, but this is not the best for you and it's not the best for me.
You
Sister,
are mouthy.
Sister, I really think we should even go further and tell him that Bluebeard said that while he was away, that I could spend time with any of his servants in any way we see fit.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He didn't mean anyway.
But
well,
sister,
Bluebeard didn't say that, but
we
yes.
are Bluebeard's bride. We need to remain pure for Bluebeard.
Of course we do, my dear virgin. However, sister, what we tell this despicable man and what we do are two different things.
I totally agree with you, Witch. I think that we can let him believe what he wants to believe, and when we get what we need, we can leave him there.
We don't need this.
But we do need to find our room, and she is not speaking much. Unless you want to do something about it, Mother, do you want to do something else? What is it that you would wish to do? You're always so cautious. Are you actually going to take a stand now?
I think that we can ask him without seducing him, you tart.
I agree with the mother.
I think things have already gone beyond that. Fatal, you are on a path I think that we should follow. And in fact, I agree completely. Once we get what we want, we will make sure that he will never get what he wants ever again.
Okay. I think with that, like, I take his hand, and is there like a wall behind him, like in this room?
Sure.
So like I kind of like walk back and like start to get into his personal space and push him up against the wall, and then like I bring my face up to his and whisper to his ear, "Just lead us to our bedroom. That is where I need to go right now, and after that we'll see what happens next."
So, are you caressing him, or are you just trying to talk him into doing what you want?
I think I'm just trying to talk him into doing what I want.
Excellent. So, you whisper this, and he smiles and leans closer, and he grabs your face and pulls you in for a kiss.
I go in towards him, but instead of kissing him on the lips, I kiss him on the cheek.
Oh, that's good.
You kiss him on the cheek, and he grabs hold of your face. And this time, instead of kissing you, he bites down on your lip, and he begins to pull away from you. And you can feel blood running down your chin. Take one trauma.
Okay.
Now, are you going to take that trauma for your sisters, or is everyone going to feel this?
I will take that trauma.
That also means you have to pass the ring now.
I will pass the ring. I think I'm going to pass it to the witch.
So, witch, this man has your bottom lip in between his teeth, and he's pulling, like he means to pull your lip off your face. What do you do?
I will react simply. I will internalize the pain I feel at my lip and lift my hand gently and caress his cheek all the way up to his hair and back down to the back of his neck, and then bring his face closer into mine even as he bites my lip.
It sounds like you're caressing a horror.
I am indeed.
Would you mind reading the move?
When you caress a horror, roll plus blood. On a hit, the horror is swayed by your stroke. Direct what was intended for you to another victim in the house. On a 7 to 9, it will shift its tension, but only if you participate in some way.
Excellent.
All right. I'm going to roll.
Plus your blood.
7 plus 1 is 8. So, in fact, shall I narrate the outcome?
Actually, no. I get to narrate it for you.
Okay.
He will make it clear how he wants you to participate. If you don't participate, it's kind of like rolling a 6. But it's your choice whether you do or not.
Okay.
So he lets go of your lip. You're bleeding, it hurts, but he didn't quite tear it off all the way. And he smiles and he spits your blood to the side. Then he takes you by the hand and leads you over to the woman. She's sitting there very docilely. And so he just pushes her and she falls over. And he grabs your hands and pulls you down to the ground with both of them. And he says, I don't want to, be too quick for you. So why don't you hold her down for me? We'll make sure that you and I can last longer. I'm looking for X cards, by the way. I mean, you're kneeling in the dirt with your ripped dress and blood running down your face. And she's just looking at you.
The witch is down at her level and is looking at her. The man has a hand holding down the woman at the moment. And she, instead of pushing her hands down to hold down the other woman, she grabs his arm and pulls it off of the woman.
So are you dirtying yourself with violence instead of complying?
Oh, yes.
That is indeed an option.
Okay. But I'm also denying the participation, so it's a fail on the other.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Which is why when you grab his hand and try and pull it off, you can't quite get his arm off. He's stronger than you. So he's holding her down with one hand, and he actually backhands you with his free hand. Take another trauma.
Okay. I will just take the trauma for my sisters.
Okay.
And then pass the ring to Mother.
Okay.
What do you want to do, Mother?
I take his hands and I put them in the dirt and I look at him and I say, you must leave. And I take the girl and I say, come with me.
So you try and push him off, basically?
I do.
Okay. That is dirtying yourself with violence. So go ahead and roll.
Okay. I don't have any... Oh, crap. I don't have any dice. Hold on a second.
Sure. I'm afraid my cat does get a little jealous when I game online. Are you jealous, kitty? Yeah.
All right.
All right. So you're going to roll plus carnality, and then on a hit, you're going to have some options to choose from.
All right. 8 plus 1 is 9.
9. So the first thing you need to decide is, do you want to disable him, silence him, or mutilate him?
Silence him.
So you don't want him to be able to talk anymore.
Yes.
How are you going to do that?
Do we still have the shears in our left hand?
Oh, you certainly do.
Um,
I love that nervous laughter.
I'm going to look at him sideways and try to and dare him to say anything as I take her and leave.
Well, you can't quite leave yet. He still has a hold of you. And as you look at him, he raises his hand to hit you again and says, "Stupid cunt."
And as his hand comes down towards me, I put the shear and stab him in the palm.
Okay. Now, when you stab him in the palm, because you chose the option of silencing him, it actually, you hit harder than you meant to. And his hand comes back and hits himself in his face. And you hear the wet slap of like skin against skin. Now, you do have to choose another option because you rolled an 8. And it's either your vulnerability gives them an opening to inflict trauma, or your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot.
I guess my carelessness leaves me in a bad spot.
It certainly did, because he pulls his hand away from his face, and you can see that the shear actually went through it into his face. So as he brings it out, you can see it pierced his lips and broke his front teeth. So now his mouth is this bloody mess. And he looks kind of mad. So he lets go of the girl and looks kind of like he's going to wipe off his mouth because he still has the shear in his hand. So he goes like this, and then he actually uses the hand with the shears in it and hits you again with the back of his hand so it slices against your cheek. And now you're down on the ground, and he's on top of you. But you didn't take trauma yet. It was a very light slice. So what do you want to do?
Oh, no, he didn't.
What do you want to do?
I grab him by the balls and try to pull them off him.
So you would like to dirty yourself with violence again. Although, since you did dirty yourself with violence, I take that back. You actually have to pass the ring now.
Okay.
So once you make a ring move, you have to pass the ring.
Okay, I'll pass it to the Virgin.
Because the Virgin will obviously handle this well.
Yes.
What do you want to do? He's got you down on the ground and he's bleeding all over your face.
So I guess I want to try to remind him of who he is and remind him that I am the bride of Bluebeard, and he better get off of me lest he face the wrath of Bluebeard.
You are the lady of the house.
Exactly. Who does he think he's dealing with? Cutting my face.
You can say these things to him. You can cry out. You can tell him, "I am the wife of Bluebeard. You are a servant. You can't do this to me." But that does not trigger a move.
Okay.
What are you trying to do?
I guess I'm trying to get him off of me so that I can get myself and this poor other woman out of here.
Okay. Well, you can try to care for him. You can try caressing him. You can try again to dirty yourself with violence. Or you can cry out for help.
But I have some bonus for playing the victim, right?
Yes. The way your move works.
When you invite a horror to come closer, mark 1 trauma, but force them to reveal a vulnerability.
But you have to invite him closer.
Okay, so I'll say those things, and I'll say, I am the bride of Bluebeard. Get off of me. Not so convincingly. You can't take the bride of Bluebeard. Who do you think you are? In such a kind of way that it's more of an invitation than perhaps a threat.
So you can say these things, and you could put a tone in your voice that means you don't really mean them. And he begins to tear off your dress, meaning that that wasn't an invitation to come closer.
It was not. Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is not.
Okay.
Sorry, it needs to be a little more of a clear action. Or you can actually just use words.
Then I've been waiting to get out of this dress for a while. So I'm gonna bust out of it then.
So you start helping him tear off your clothes.
Yeah, I kick these stupid shoes off too.
Yes. Who needs shoes?
No, I'm used to going barefoot.
So he turns from you for a second, and he reaches into the garden bed next to you, and he very carefully, with a gentleness you haven't seen before yet from this person, picks up one of the orbs. And you can tell he's holding his breath as he very slowly brings it back so that he's holding it over you. And now you can see this glowing orb. Inside of it, you've never seen something like this before, so you're not 100% sure what it is, but it almost looks... You're reminded a little bit of whenever your cat gave birth to kittens. One of the kittens came out wrong. And it didn't have fur. It didn't have skin over all of it, and it had two mouths. And whatever he's holding in this globe...
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say it had two mouths?
I did.
Okay, all right.
So what's in the globe looks like a tiny baby, but it's not right. There are parts of its head that jut out as if they were horns, and you're pretty sure it has a tail. But he's holding it so carefully as he brings it to hold it over you. So that was me describing the vulnerability. Is that clear enough?
I'm not sure. Yes, so maybe hurting that thing would damage him in some way?
Quite possibly.
Okay. Okay, so I take a trauma?
No, he hasn't. Oh, yes, because you used your move.
Okay.
Because
Can I
seeing
step
that
in?
thing in that
Can I
globe,
step in? Can I step in here and use my move, the bear,
yes.
and reflect it back to the fatale who started this whole thing?
What? What is this move?
So why don't you read your move so everyone can understand what's going on?
The bear. When a sister incurs trauma, you can step in and punish the sister who truly deserves it.
Ah.
Tell the guilty sister to mark the trauma instead, and mark one for yourself as well, as failure to due to failure to prevent this.
So yes, although the Virgin started to feel trauma over this horrific thing that's in the globe, instead the fatale and the mother hurt each other.
It's how it always is.
I think that also means that the Virgin keeps the ring.
It does.
Okay.
So you keep the ring, and he's holding this, and he still is holding his breath.
Sister, destroy this foul thing.
Yes. So where are the shears? The shears are in his hands?
Literally in his hands, right?
Let's say they had dropped out after he hit you, so they are next to you.
Okay, so I want to try to pick them up and break this orb with the shears.
Excellent. That is dirtying yourself with violence. So go ahead and roll.
And this is plus blood?
Carnality.
Carnality. Okay. I'm not so carnal.
Of course not. You're
Being
the
the
Virgin.
Virgin. Yeah.
Oh, but I get it. I get a 7.
Okay. So, you're aiming at the creature in the ball. Do you want to disable it, silence it, or mutilate it?
I think mutilate it.
How do you want to mutilate it specifically?
Can I cut it in half with these shears?
You can. Now, you said you got a 7?
Yes.
And then you have to choose one from the second list.
So either your vulnerability gives you them an opening or leaves you in a bad spot? Is that the list?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I'm already in a bad spot.
We are lying below this guy who's on top of us.
It's the Fatale's fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in a bad spot.
Yeah.
So you strike out with the shears, and the orb breaks, and the creature inside almost seems to throw itself at the shears and impale itself on it. And the man cries out. He screams as if you hurt him. And you can there's suddenly this smell of ammonia in the air and sulfur. And so you're holding the shears with this creature impaled on it. And it starts kind of wiggling on the shears, and it reaches out and it touches your hand. You just shivered. So to explain, there is a move called Shiver from Fear, where the player, if they experience fear during the game, can trigger this move, which you just did, and will help me describe the consequences of your actions.
All right.
So tell me what you're afraid is going to happen when the thing touches you.
I'm afraid that it's going to corrupt me in some way.
Woo! So now you can have a choice. You can either keep the ring and choose 2 of the options below, or you can pass the ring and only choose 1.
The options that are below where? I'm sorry?
On the ring moves, it's the first one.
Okay.
So your options are it infects the bride.
Shiver.
It infects the bride with its perversion. It has the bride in its clutches right now. Or it speaks to you, take 1 trauma, just you, sister.
Okay, so I will pass the ring back to the Fatale to see if she can get us out of this mess that she got us in.
And then choose 1 option.
I would choose it speaks to me and take a trauma.
So the creature reaches out and touches you on your hand, and where it touches you, suddenly you feel cold, and you realize that it's maybe the source of the ammonia smell. You can feel liquid trickling down your hand. And it looks at you, and very quietly, just to you, Virgin, you hear it say, Mother. Take 1 trauma.
All right.
So, Fatale, what are you going to do now? I mean, you're no closer to knowing, well, maybe knowing what happened in this room. You might have an idea.
And so the guy is still, like, over us, or he's...
No, he's crying and screaming at the thing on your shears.
Okay.
And that thing is impaled, partially cut in half?
But still moving and still talking.
Right.
How is the woman reacting?
She's just watching. She's still laying on her back.
I kind of, like, get up and stand over the guy that's there. And I kind of, like, hold the shears and, like, I'm kind of wavering like them and the thing. I'm like, this is what you get for trying to bring something into the world and then burying it and forgetting about it and trying to shove it away from sight. It comes back and it will haunt you. And you can't ever get away from those things. Those bad and evil things that you do will come back. They will always come back, whether you see them or you don't. So I think I would like to propose a truth about the room.
Please do. What do you think has happened here?
So I think that there were miscarriages and things like that that people wanted to keep secret, or births that didn't go well. And so whether it was a miscarriage or a birth, the babies were killed and hidden and then buried in this garden to be forgotten about. And this guy was the keeper of secrets, and he felt like he had power over that. And so they're here.
Okay.
And
now,
Or he was perhaps drawing power from each one that was added to this garden.
Now, do you feel that Bluebeard is complicit in this? Are you taking a token of disloyalty or faithfulness?
I think he has to know about this, so I think I'm going to take a token of disloyalty, and I think that's going to be the shears themselves, since they're what we use to cut the abomination up.
Okay. You don't want to take the abomination?
Not particularly.
So
Now,
you say this to him. Oh, sorry, what?
I was just curious if the Fatale thought that Bluebeard was just complicit here, or do you perhaps think that perhaps this is part of what he does is goes out and collects these half-born miscarriages?
I think, for bare minimum, he's complicit. I don't know enough to know whether or not he is seeking it out or he encourages it.
Or are they his?
They could be his. We don't know. Not
so
yet,
much
at
you
least.
don't know.
And who is she? The other girl.
So many questions, yet as you say this and you brandish the shears at the man, he fades back into shadows, and you turn and she's gone. The room grows dim, and you go out the door. The door closes and locks behind you, and you're back out in the hallway. So we're going to take a quick break. And let's say 10 minutes. Kind of,
Okay.
mull it over. Now you have a taste for how the game works and what it's like.
Right.
I'm going to eat my dinner real quick, and whenever I come back, we will do the next room.
Cool.
Okay.
I think at the end of that, I'm probably going to voluntarily pass the ring to somebody else so that somebody else can choose a key.
Excellent.
So I think maybe I'll pass it to the mother.
Okay.
So.
Mother.
Okay.
So whenever we come back, you'll have the ring, and we will get into in the next room.
Okay, cool.
Do we need to exit or anything?
Oh, no, I normally don't exit. Don't exit.
Okay.
I normally just mute myself, and sometimes I'll turn off my video.
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, be right back.
Thank you.
Back in 10.
Having fun?
Yeah. She's good at horror.
Yeah, she is. That's the thing, bro. You look bored.
I do?
Yeah.
It's not that I'm bored. I'm kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to move somewhere else?
I don't know. I want to sit in that poem or something like that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. You should change it up. You're uncomfortable.
You guys doing okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. Totally not cheating on this game with another game.
Has it started back up yet?
Just doing a little work on Velvet Glove.
Okay.
My burger was quite tasty, so.
Excellent.
All right. I will stop cheating on games with games. Looks like we all got some refreshment.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the point of the game where normally we come back from break. And I ask everyone how they're doing and if they still want to play.
Oh, yeah. I'm totally in.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time people say yes, but...
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions about how anything is working?
So when somebody has the key, are the rest of us expected to participate, or are the rest of us expected to stand back?
Do you mean the ring?
Oh, the ring. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, you are free to voice your opinion of what your sister is doing at all times. That you can't make them do anything, but you can definitely let them know if you think they're wrong.
Okay. My mother has no problem with that.
No, she doesn't.
Did you guys have other questions? Especially now that you've had time to use some of the moves and see how they work. Because normally I would read those out for you, but I can feel that right here. So.
Yeah, there were moments actually when we were in the room that when I didn't have the ring, that I felt that I might have wanted to investigate an object or to take stock of a situation. And those can be taken by non-ring players, but would I just narrate, the bride doing that, or would I have to maybe convince the ring bearer, so to speak, to do it?
Most of the time, the way that works out is, particularly when you first enter a room and you're starting to investigate, it does not have to be the ring bearer who does those moves. So you should feel free to do those whenever you want.
Okay.
However, normally it's kind of a natural progression. Like whenever you were fighting with the man, if one of you had been, I want to investigate this object, it doesn't quite work because you're physically engaged with something, and while you can split your attention a little bit, that's probably pushing it a little far. Does that help?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. And if it comes up and it's a problem or a question,
Yeah.
we can always make the person with the ring decide to. It's like, do you want to stop fighting with the man and let him do his thing while you investigate this thing?
Okay. I've got more important things to worry about, I think. So who has the ring? I forgot who that got passed to.
The mother.
Mother, are we still naked?
Well, you're not naked.
I think we're not. We're just in a torn dress.
Well, he did tear the dress off. You actually helped him with that. But underneath the dress, you have layers upon layers of fancy underclothes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. So you have stockings and garters and a garter belt and two different kinds. You have underwear and bloomers and a corset and a bralette and a camisole and a slip, and you have plenty of clothes.
Okay. And are we rid of these cursed shoes?
You kick them off. You are barefoot.
Okay, good. And so I look at the ring, or the ring of keys, and I choose the bronze one with the wolf head on it.
That seems very straightforward.
Oh, okay, great.
But this key, so you say it's bronze and it has a wolf head on it. Now, is it shiny and new, or is it worn and old?
It's worn. It's old. It's corroding in places.
Excellent. Okay. So you look around, and you do see a lock that matches this key. You put the key in the lock, you turn the key, you open the door, and you go inside. The door closes behind you. You're now in a room and cannot leave until you make an exit move. This room.
Hopefully it's the bathroom.
Let's see. Let us say... So, you still have your candle, though. And whenever you walk inside this room, you actually stumble a little because there are stairs. And in your stumbling, you close the door, and you hear it lock behind you. Now, these stairs are steep, and they're made out of this pale white stone that seems to be weeping with condensation. It's very cold in here. You can see your breath. So you walk down the stairs, and it goes straight for far longer than you think any stairs in this house should go. And they're cold. You can feel it on your bare feet. And the walls are very pale, smooth stone. It's hard to even see where they join. They're so smooth. But finally you get to the bottom of the stairs. And this room stretches before you. To your left, in the wall is this little alcove, and it has a statue. Below the alcove are 3 jars. They look like they're made out of the same kind of stone as the walls and the floor. And when you look to your right, and you bring your candle across and look, you see there are a line of crypts, of sarcophagi. They're squared stone tombs right there in front of you. And each of them has carvings and writing on the stone. And you hear the faint drip of water. What do you do?
I'm going to turn around and go back up the stairs.
You go back up
cautious,
the stairs.
never willing to go investigate things. The only way you learn anything, Mike, you just rely on your wisdom. We're not that old.
So you go back up the stairs, and your candle is burning very low. And there's a couple of times you think you hear the echoes of footsteps. But eventually you get to the door, and when you try the knob, it's locked, and it will not open. Now, you can try to escape the room without proposing a truth. And in order to do that, I would offer you a hard bargain or ugly choice. And if you agree to do what I ask of you, you can leave the room without proposing a truth. If you just want no part of this.
Come on, Mother. We should
in the scary movies, it's always a bad idea when you walk downstairs and you find the crypt. And that's just always bad.
I do like scary movies.
So, I shake the doorknob and I beat on the door.
What was
Nothing.
What was in the alcove?
There is a statue.
I assume nothing happens when I shake the door.
No.
Okay.
It's very
Mother,
solid.
maybe we should...
I guess I have no choice but to go downstairs and see if there's another exit.
Well, you could cry out for help.
You could.
No, that creepy guy might come and try to help me.
But maybe we should look at the statue. It might be very pretty.
We didn't get a good glimpse of it yet.
No, you did not.
So, and that's a good thing. And so I go down. I'll go back down. I draw my breath. I guess you got to do what you got to do. And let's go back down into the crypt and let's see who is buried down there. Maybe some of those crypts have names on them.
Now, by the time you get back down the stairs, your candle is burning very low. The light is very dim, and you can't see very far. And once again, you hear that echo, as if someone with heels was walking across the stone floor. So what do you want to look at first?
I say, hello, is anybody there?
And your voice echoes, hello? Hello? And there is no answer.
I am the lady of this house. I demand that you answer me.
Demand.
Hey, this is what I tried last time, and it didn't work out well for me. So if you want to go down this path, it's all you.
It's true.
But the echoes just get back to you. Demand, demand, demand.
Okay, I crouch down and I try to read some of the names here.
Okay. So you want to investigate an object. What is your first question?
Who is buried here?
Oh, sorry. It is from the list on your move sheet. So investigating a mysterious object, you can ask, whose item is this?
Oh, I see.
What memories does this item hold? What about this item is odd or uncanny? And why did Bluebeard keep this item? Uh-oh, we lost.
Oh.
I'm sure he'll be back.
Oh, hey.
Too creeped out.
He's like, nope.
Use crypt out.
Crypt out.
Oh, bad puns. But while we wait for him to
Let's
reconnect,
see.
Oh, there we go. All right, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Am I back?
yeah,
You're back.
I can hear you.
Good.
no worries.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, great.
Hiccups.
I guess I choose what memories does this item hold?
It's a fine question.
Hmm.
So, carved into the foot of this crypt is an evening star, and underneath that is an inscription that says, "To my ever-loving mother, no woman could ever be as perfect."
Sorry, I saw you say something, but I didn't hear anything. What was the last part?
Oh, sorry. There's an inscription on the crypt, and it says, "To my ever-loving mother, no woman could be as perfect."
Oh my gosh, you dropped off at the same point. Are you purposely mouthing that?
No.
I was like, oh, that is creepy.
I mean, that's a good trick I might steal.
Yeah, right.
I will type it. You can't see the chat, right?
I can go back to the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
I will type it for you.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I resort to cheap tricks, but never quite that one before.
To my ever-loving mother, no woman will be as perfect as you.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad to see that he loves his mother. Maybe he is a good boy after all.
Where does that leave us?
I don't know. We need to get out of here. Who is? I'm going to go check the statue. Who?
Well,
Who
you have
is the
one more question about the crypt.
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
So as you're kneeling there, you can see that the lid of the crypt is slightly up, like it has been opened and that has been moved. And so it's not all the way closed.
I can't decide whether I should open it or close it. I am going to...
I think we should look for another source of light before we do anything. Our candle is running awfully low, Mother.
Probably a good idea. All right,
Maybe
I'm going
there's a candle inside the crypt.
Oh yeah, that's a good place to keep a crypt.
There might be something burnable. I don't think it's a candle.
Okay, I gotta know. I'm gonna open the crypt. What's inside?
So you struggle to lift it. It's very heavy. But finally, you get enough leverage and you shove against it, and the lid falls with this terrible racket against the marble floor. And you look inside. And there is a corpse there. She's dressed in very fine robes, and her skeletal hands are clasped at her breast. And where her head is are shards of bone. You can see that someone has taken a heavy object and beaten the skull in until there is nothing left.
Okay.
Does it look like this happened after she was dead, or just like the way she died?
It's really hard to tell.
Okay.
Okay. I assume there are no flashlights in here.
No.
Okay.
So it sounds like you want to go looking for some more light.
Sounds like it. Are there walls here?
Yeah, the walls are that pale smooth stone. So you can see there's a couple more of those crypts.
Yeah.
And then there seems to be a door at the end of the room.
Oh, good. I'm going to walk to the door.
It is slightly ajar, and you can see a light flickering inside.
That's what we want.
There is a smell coming from there as well.
A smell of what?
It's this musky animal smell. And
musky...
underneath it is the smell of honey.
I think we should be cautious here. Me, the one begging caution. Let's look carefully at this.
And,
all
right, so what do you suggest?
I think we should peer in, but not look too deeply, to kind of take stock and figure out what's there, so that we can take the appropriate action.
So you think I should not, for example, knock and announce our presence?
No. We should not be doing that. We should be assessing the situation and making sure that knocking is appropriate, or maybe going in more quietly might be a more appropriate action.
All right. I'm going to... Okay, so I'm going to push the door open slightly, just enough so I can look in and see if I see anything.
So you look in, and the light is eclipsed by darkness, because there's someone standing right in front of the door.
Oh, damn.
It's a hooded figure, and without a word, they hold their hand out in invitation.
Like a piece of paper?
No, their hand. Like, would you like to take my hand?
I say we take it.
I say, I am the new lady of the house.
Tell you, this is what I did last time.
It's not worked yet.
Lady of the house doesn't get any respect so far.
Lead me to the exit.
Do you take their hand?
I do.
Okay. The robed figure does guide you inside, and whenever they do, you can see that this room, the one wall where the door is stone. And the floor halfway into the room is stone, but then it seems to be covered in dirt, and in places the stones are missing, and towards the far edge of it, it just disintegrates completely into dirt. And the far walls and the ceiling are hard packed dirt, but there are roots coming down. Now there is candles all around the edge of this room. And in between the candles are figures, like the one whose hand you took, in robes. And they all seem to be waiting. And the figure leads you into the center of the room. And they kneel down and they pull you with them. Do you kneel?
I say, no, I'm going to let you gentlemen do your little ritual here. I'm just going to grab a candle and go out.
Don't you want to see what they're doing?
Not really, no.
I do.
So you try and pull away, and they hold onto you tighter.
Maybe you didn't hear me. No means no.
So in order to get out of their grasp, you either need to caress them, dirty yourself with violence, cry out for help. You can investigate what's going on. You can go along with what they're doing. You can try one of your moves, except your move only affects other sisters.
Yeah, right. That's just the wrong move.
You totally didn't. You've already used your move. It was useful.
It was useful, and she deserved it.
You're going to have only yourself to blame now.
You can give up the ring to another sister who may have an idea of how to handle this.
Well, if I hear a good idea, I guess I'll give up the ring.
Well, before you give up the ring, I think that we can just take stock of the situation and figure out, is there something that we can tell about what they're doing? Perhaps I would ask the question, what traps have been laid for the bride? What is this going to, how is this going to compromise our own desires?
So you do take a moment to kind of look around. You realize that the figure has maneuvered you so that you're standing on the dirt part of the floor. And you can feel with your bare feet, it's soft, like it's been recently moved. I mean, your feet is sinking into it a little bit. This ground is not stable.
And all the other figures, all the other people are not on the dirt. Is that right?
No, they're not on the dirt. They're on the stone.
Oh.
Yeah, Mother, I'm not so keen at being the center of this ritual.
Yeah, me neither. So I am going to. I think I'm going to step out of the circle and try to grab a candle.
So to get out of their grasp, do you pull away? Do you like jerk your hand out of theirs?
Yes.
Try to struggle out of it. Yeah.
That would be dirtying yourself with violence, so please roll.
Oh, a 3 plus. I don't know. What do I add here?
Carnality.
It's not going to help.
Resilience, blood. What would I add?
Carnality.
Carnality, 4.
Okay.
So in Apocalypse World, a 10 plus is a success, a 7 to 9 is a partial success, and anything below a 6 is the groundskeeper's fun times. So as always, remember, if you need to use the X card, you can sign in the video or you can chat on the side.
Okay.
So you try and pull away, which just means that another one comes and grabs your other hand, and they pull you down so that you're kneeling in the dirt. And you're struggling, and you're telling them this is not proper, and you do not want this, but they ignore you. And as they ignore you, they begin chanting, and it's this deep, throaty sound that doesn't sound right. There's something wrong with how their throat works or something. That noise isn't right. And as you kneel there, you can feel the earth begin to move underneath you. And then you feel this cold hand creep up your leg and grab a hold of your inner thigh.
So do I still have the ring, or did I pass it by doing what I did?
By failing to dirty yourself with violence, you did need to pass the ring.
All right. So I am going to pass it to the one who I think who can get us out of this, which would probably be the Virgin.
Really? That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, because no like ceremony in the basement ever needs a virgin. That's never like happened. That's never been a thing.
So this cold hand is grabbing onto your left inner thigh, and then you can feel another hand, and it's on your left ankle.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
Oh gosh.
We still have 2 of them holding us down.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. What can I do?
Use your Virgin superpower.
Yeah.
That's not something you hear often.
Sorry, what's that?
That's not something you hear often.
Right. Okay, so I guess that. I guess I'm going to cry out for help.
Probably a good choice.
Yeah.
So when you cry out for help, you declare a new and immediate inadequacy. Why don't you feel qualified to deal with this situation?
My candle is burning low, and I'm in these shredded clothes. I feel very exposed.
Yeah, it sounds like you feel pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and roll plus resilience.
All right, so that gives me a +1. Ooh, and I get a 10 +1, so 11.
11.
Nice. 6 and a 4 +1.
So a house servant will come to address your concerns and calm your hysteria.
Oh. What is it exactly you're crying out? I'm curious. Like, what are you saying? Or what are we saying?
Someone help me. Someone get me out of this circle. Get me out of this dirt. Someone, anyone. Is there anyone in this house who can help me?
I want no part of your ritual.
Right, yeah.
So you cry out, and one of the figures stands up, and they toss back their hood, and you see a pretty normal-looking woman. She's probably in her 30s. She has kind of ginger auburn hair, and she dusts off her robe before shrugging it off, and you can see that she's wearing a dark plain dress with an apron. And she comes over, and the 2 holding you let go, and she's shaking her head as she helps raise you up. Dear, it's really... I don't even know how to put it, but to disrupt the ritual, do you have no manners?
Do I have no manners?
And she's just shaking her head as she leads you onto the stone.
This
Do you
is
want to... Yeah.
This is my wedding night. This is not what's supposed to happen on your wedding night. Forced into the dirt in some basement.
You've had a lot of those, have you?
No.
And whenever she says that, you hear this sound behind you, like dirt moving. Do you want to turn around and see what's going on behind you?
I want to look over my shoulder.
So you kind of peek over your shoulder, and you can see there is this mainly bony hand groping around in the dirt. There's actually two of them, and you can just barely see coming out of the dirt the top of a head. And you think that's dark hair you see. But the dirt is definitely moving. But the woman kind of brushes you off, the servant woman. Shakes her head and says, obviously you had no proper upbringing.
Okay. Can I investigate this ceremony a little bit? Can I ask her who she is and what they're doing here?
Well, you can certainly talk to servants.
Okay.
Unless you care for them or use another move, they will only answer so many questions before they will want something out of you. But she'll talk to you.
These are terrible servants.
Do you say that out loud?
No. But I don't mind thinking it. So I will apologize. I'll say, I'm sorry if I came off as uncouth. Who are you? What are you people doing here in the basement of
Next
my
to the
new house?
crypt.
Why are you performing this ceremony here?
Next to the crypt.
And do you allow your sister to say next to the crypt?
No, because I want to feign innocence and pretend I don't know what's going on or where I am.
Virgin powers, activate!
So she straightens her apron. She tells you her name is Karen, and she is one of the house servants. And then she kind of looks around at the room and says, well, what do you think we're trying to do here?
I think you're trying to practice some type of harvest dance.
I think you just lied to her.
What? Yeah, probably. And I'll say, Karen, I think you can help me. I think you can teach me how to be a proper lady of this house. Can you get me out of here?
Well, I could certainly help you, but I would say...
You seem very knowledgeable.
Oh, well, thank you. I would say, though, that you probably could learn more from them. And she points over your shoulder.
Okay. So I will turn and look.
And now, so the creature in the dirt, it has drug itself up enough that you can see that it is the body of a woman. And she has long dark hair that's streaming down and it's covered in dirt. And part of her face is missing. You can see the inside of her cheek and you can see the teeth. And she's staring at you as she drags herself forward. And you can see there is dirt moving next to her. And you can see a third hand.
So, Virgin, do you have an idea what's going on here?
No.
Seems to me...
She's got no idea. Come on.
She's too naive. She doesn't realize what's going on.
So, maybe it's not a harvest dance, but...
No one is dancing.
Maybe this is where they are resurrecting the corpses of the previous brides.
Could be.
And while you're thinking, the servant takes a little vial out of her apron and opens it and kind of dips it on her finger, and then she starts marking your forehead with this oil, and it smells musky, like what you smelled whenever you opened the door.
Okay. And I'll say, "Oh, Karen, what is this? What a very interesting scent. Tell me, what are you doing here? I mean, what are you doing with this?"
Oh, I'm marking you for later.
Oh, what? Well, what will happen later? Will I be in the dance?
Oh, I don't want to ruin the surprise.
I hope maybe Bluebeard will come and dance with me tonight. So can I caress this horror and maybe shift her attention away from me back to the ceremony, or?
Yes, now, I mean, she's not doing anything particularly horrific.
Oh, okay. Anointing me for something to come later is not horrific?
Okay, my scale of horrific might be slightly, like, off.
Okay, maybe.
But no, I will definitely allow you to caress her.
Okay. Let's see how well I do. I have 0 blood. Oh, a 7.
Okay. So, how do you touch her?
Can I take her hand where she's holding the vial? And sort of, out of curiosity,
You can take her hand. I mean, the
Is that
terminology is caress.
Ah, okay. So then I'll sort of run my hand down the back of her, sort of her arm or shoulder as I say, what is this about, or what's going to happen later? What can you tell me about this oil?
And she smiles, and she's like, here, watch. And she turns you so you can see the women coming out of the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the robed figures, who are still making that thrumming in their nose, in their throat, stands up as the first woman reaches the stone, and she's starting to, like, push herself up out of the ground. And he stands up, and he picks up one of the candles, and he walks over, and he holds the candle out, and he says, adulteress. And he tips the candle over, and he sets her hair on fire. And he steps back, and she begins to burn, but she's still kind of crawling forward. And you can see movement further back in the dirt. And the second woman has gotten more of her arm free, but you still can't see her face. But the burning woman is starting to crawl towards you.
All right.
Did you pass the key of the ring to another player?
Yes, you need to pass it.
Yeah. So I'll think that we need something a little... I'll pass it to the witch.
Okay.
What you want to do, witch? You got a burning woman crawling towards you? You're all friendly with the servant now?
The servant was the one who set the woman on fire. Is that correct?
It was another robed figure that set her on fire.
Okay. Question. We will, as we see the burning figure appear, I will turn to Karen, whom I still have caressing.
Yes.
And I was just touching her gently, and then push her violently towards the burning
Yes.
figure.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Let the robes catch on fire.
Yeah.
So you're dirtying yourself with violence. Go ahead and roll plus blood.
That's not
Why
violence,
do you
that's
guys
justice.
all go to violence?
That's
That's self-defense. That is not violence.
Sadly, all that drinking and just all the horror I've seen so far, as I push her, I certainly do not succeed with a 6.
So you try and push her, and it does not work. Let me see here.
Guys, I need to pause really quick. I think I need to plug in my tablet. Give me just 1 sec. Go ahead. Sorry.
That'll give me a moment to think.
That's okay. There's this thing. Wi-Fi disconnected. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I said grab the oil and douse her with it.
Even better idea.
That's hilarious.
I'm ashamed
That's
of
self-defense.
You shouldn't have been doing that. You should have joined in the ritual and participated and sought that power for yourself. That's the witch I expect.
When I heard about a ritual going on, of course I perked up. When I found out that I was the center, that's when my...
But that's why there's
witchy
these other
process-
robed individuals. One of those could be the center very easily.
That's true. That's true. Exactly right. Perhaps I should have. I took a stack of violence. Maybe Karen seems like she'd be good for being the center.
She seems very devoted to the ritual.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I should have convinced her to be the center.
This kind of like back baseball kind of interplay is hilarious.
Good. I'm glad.
Oh, the sisters interacting is my favorite part. Do we want to continue, or do we want to wait for him to rejoin?
I think we should probably wait.
Okay. I just wanted to check and make sure how you guys were doing.
Okay, this is good. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's awesome.
Good.
I like
One thing we...
Yeah.
Oh, you like being a player?
Oh, I like this. Yeah, how it's the rings passing through the different players. I think that's a really great mechanism. Really interesting.
Well, thank you. Yeah, watching people try and deal with the same problem different ways is pretty cool. One thing I may do because of the amount of time we have left is I may shorten the track a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Which will probably give you guys at most one less room, maybe.
Yeah. Are you thinking of doing 2 and 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense given what the time we've spent so far. So,
but I mean,
here's a question. Earlier, when I asked the Virgin when she had the ring about her theory, I was kind of I thought it might be prompting her to propose a truth. Right?
Yeah, I thought so too.
She did briefly, but then she did decide not to follow up on it, which is fine. But that could have been a moment in the fiction to propose a truth about it and come to something that would, an understanding that would allow you to escape the room.
It could be. I mean, it is, since we're waiting for the guys. It is kind of the thing with this game that different people will decide at different points they have a truth. So sometimes rooms will be really quick if somebody decides that, oh, I know what's going on here.
Right.
Whereas other people want to kind of be convinced, and so they will investigate more thoroughly.
Right. The interesting thing about that move is the move as written always succeeds.
Well, yeah.
I think that's interesting.
I feel like I can't say anything now. I don't want to spoil anything.
That's fine.
But I will be available to talk after the game. So.
Okay.
All right, let's chat those guys up and see where they are and what's going on.
Oh, just in time.
Hey.
Okay. I think we're back. Are we back?
You're back.
You're back.
One is back. We're still missing the Virgin.
Yeah, the Virgin accidentally knocked over the Wi-Fi router.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That And that's not a problem. That definitely is part of online gaming. Is you will have technical
Sorry,
difficulties.
guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was okay. The mother fixed it. That's all right.
It wasn't my fault. I'm completely innocent.
You're just feigning innocent as always.
So now that you're back, let's find out what terrible thing is happening. No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for all this.
Of course there is.
Yeah, right.
So, you just missed on your dirty yourself with violence, and you were trying to shove Karen into the burning woman. So you trip on Karen's dress, and you're the one who falls forward. And so you fall on the ground and you hit hands first, and you can feel all the grit and everything skin your palms. So take 1 trauma. Because as you look up, you are face to face with the burning woman. And she smells like burning meat and burning hair. And she is right inches from your face. And behind her, you can see the other woman has gotten her face free. But now the burning woman, she reaches out with those cold hands that had touched your thigh earlier, and she clamps onto your shoulder and pulls you closer, and you can feel the heat of the fire as your own hair catches fire.
Fatal,
what are you going to
have
do?
the ring. What are you going to do, Fatal?
You're all like, I passed that ring? I passed it so quick?
I quickly try to get the fire out of my hair.
So you're slapping at your own head.
Yeah.
With all that thick masses. I mean, if your hair goes down to your knees, that is a lot of hair.
It's a lot of hair.
And it's mainly burning on this left side, and you can feel it's burning close to your face, and it's starting to get close to your scalp. But I mean, she's like holding you close as you slap at your own head.
Yep. As soon as I try to get it, I'm like, I wanted light, but that was not what I needed. And
bad puns is a way to mitigate horror. I approve. Okay.
I look at her and Karen told me that you were the ones that I should learn from. What are the secrets that you have to teach me? What knowledge can you impart on me?
So are you trying to trigger a move, or are you just speaking to her directly?
I think I'm just speaking to her directly.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah, I don't think I triggered anything yet.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So her jaw opens, and it kind of actually you can hear and see it unhinge on one side.
Yeah.
And kind of open. So her mouth it's open strangely.
Uh-huh.
But she can still talk. Even though you can also kind of see through a bit of her throat, and you can see the muscles working.
Right.
So Are you trying to escape through the bottom of your frame? Over there, Chuck, you suddenly dropped.
I'm just leaning back in my chair.
Okay. So Fatal, Fatal, I feel like when you ask this question, you're sort of investigating, right? This burning woman.
But you cannot investigate people as objects.
I see.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So luckily you're close to her because she can't talk very loud.
Right.
But she pulls you close and she says, I did this to myself. I brought this fate on myself. I wouldn't leave that boy alone. And I did this. This was my sin. You should be a better woman than I was.
I take her hands and I off of me, and I put them down and I say thank you, and then I take one of my outer pieces of clothing or something.
Your slip.
My slip, whatever it happens to be. So I take that and I kind of like rip it a little bit and sort of like try to like pat out her burning hair and wrap it like a shawl, like a cover around her hair. And as I'm doing this, I'm taking it and I'm like, and what did she do to bring this fate upon her? Is that a secret you can tell me, or is that something I must ask her?
It seems like you're caring for her.
I would say so. Yeah.
So the fire does go out, and she seems to calm a little bit. And she looks at the other woman who is not quite to the stone yet, and turns back and says, "She too could not control her carnal impulses."
How apropos that the fatale has the ring.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Learn from this fatale.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, well, this is never going to happen to me.
No, yes.
I say thank you, and I go and over to her, and because she's crawling, right? Is she still half buried?
Yeah, she's like buried to her hips.
So I actually go and I help to unbury her. Like I start digging and getting her out to get her out of the ground.
And she seems to not really acknowledge what you're doing, although she does look at you. She just continues to try and crawl forward, and you can hear one of the people behind you has gotten up, and you hear them pick up a candle and walk towards you.
I let them. I look at her and I'm like, apparently you have brought this upon yourself, and I'm just gonna let them burn it, but I'm gonna have like another piece of clothing ready so that like when it gets lit, I'm gonna then put the hair out again and then wrap her head up again like that when she's done, when the hair is burnt.
So, do you want to propose a truth about this room?
Sure.
I mean, you don't have to. We can continue with the burning hair for a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those people still buried down there, by the way.
I guess, apparently.
So, I guess all the people who are buried down here, who are buried underneath the stone floor in the soft ground, were all people who had committed crimes. It seems like they were all adulterers, at least at this point, all adulteresses. And there's a ritual that they perform at least somewhat regularly to punish them, because otherwise why would everybody know about it and have such refined processes around it? I don't know the details of that, but some sort of regular ritual to keep punishing them for the sins that they've already occurred after they've already been executed for it. So it seems like continual torment and punishment as a show of not only punishment for them, but as a demonstration to what happens to those people who are adulteresses.
So, would you say you're taking a token of loyalty or disloyalty? Or faithfulness or disloyalty?
I actually think this is maybe faithfulness, because it's all about...
I think so, yeah.
It's about redemption.
Yeah, it's...
Redemption.
Of a sort.
Yeah. Like, what sort of redemption are you thinking?
Well,
I don't think it's redemption, personally.
It's... well, to take, I mean, they are taking, maybe it's not redemption, that's too strong, but they're taking the consequences of their actions, right? And they're basically accepting them, accepting the punishments, right?
I don't get the sense that they're accepting the punishment. I get the sense that they have to, they're just being punished. They really have no say in this at all. And so it's not really about redemption as much as it's about justice. Maybe, right. I don't know if justice is quite the right word either. Revenge, perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah. So, but I think I'm going to take the token of faithfulness, because I think this is sort of like a sign of doing what you should be doing in a marriage, and it will be punished if you don't do what you're supposed to do. So as a sign of faithfulness to the marriage, if these were the adulteresses.
And what physical item are you taking with you?
I think I'm going to take a...
Candle.
You can take a candle without it being a token.
We could take a candle as well. But I actually think... I think there's maybe a scrap of of my
rope.
slip that burned and is just on the ground that didn't get wrapped up around. And I think I take a slip of that, a piece of that's sort of half-burned slip.
Okay. So the women who are crawling out of the ground kind of lay down and seem to come to rest. And the people standing around fade back into the shadows. You walk out of that room and back up the stairs, and this time the door opens. You hear it close behind you and lock, and you're back out in the hall.
And with that, I will pass the ring to the Virgin.
Okay.
Is there a bathroom anywhere?
There's a bunch of doors.
I mean, because like I'm feeling like let me at least go and look at a mirror and check my lip out.
Your lip is still bleeding.
Yeah, right.
All right. So you definitely have a vote for a bathroom. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
And a mirror.
And a mirror. Yeah, a mirror would be nice.
Mirrors are always good.
Now that you're in the hallway, you can hear the wind kick up, and you hear the rain coming down on the roof. And the hallway you're in is very dark, except for the candle you hold. So, Virgin, do you want to stay up here, or do you want to go back downstairs?
Downstairs meaning the first floor, or?
The first floor, not back
into the crypt. Okay, good.
We came upstairs to this hallway, right, when we were originally looking for a place to change.
Yeah,
Yes.
we passed the stained glass mirror, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think let's go back down the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah. This hallway's
So-
bad news.
Is it?
I hate to tell you, this house is bad news.
Now, is that the Fatale saying that, or is that someone who's played this game before?
A little bit of both.
So you leave this hallway, and you go back down the stairs, the regular stairs, the snake banister. And whenever you get to the landing, you glance over at the stained glass window, and you can see as you raise your candle, it doesn't look like the woman in the glass is smiling anymore. It looks like her eyes are open wide, and her blue lips, it looks like she's trying to say something, but there's water in her mouth. And you can see the rain hitting and trickling down her face like she's crying. But you continue down the stairs, and you listen to the thunder.
Oh, it's
Now-
raining now?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So you're in the entry hall, and there are doors all over the place.
Okay.
You look at the key ring. Oh, do you have a question?
I was going to say, is there a kitchen? Maybe we can get something to eat.
First you want a bathroom, then you want a kitchen. You can't decide, can you?
Yeah, right. Well, there's all these bodily functions I don't want to deal with.
You just leave it to somebody else to deal with those things. You're only concerned about other things.
Just like the mother, making sure everyone's fed and
Right?
Now, something that happened while we were waiting for you guys to come back from the incident is due to the time it is, I went ahead and shortened the token track. So you guys have between 1 to 2 more rooms before we enter the final part of the game.
Okay.
Now in this entry hall, the only way out is through a door or through the stairs. So you start looking through the key ring, and one of the keys catch your interest. What does it look like?
So it's very long, and it's silver, and the end of it has sort of three hearts. It's very pretty.
Would you say it's delicate or feminine?
I'd say it's very feminine.
All right. One of the locks catch your notice. It matches the key. You put the key in the lock. You turn the key. You open the door and you go inside. The door closes behind you. You're now in a room and cannot leave until you make an exit move. The first thing you smell is food. Roasted meat, baking bread, pastries, all kinds of good smells. You also smell smoke. You are in this kind of narrow passageway. On either side are counters and cabinets. All the cabinets are closed, but you can see further up ahead there is light. You can see there's a big table, and you can see a silhouette of someone going back and forth in front of that light. You think it's a fireplace. Do you want to go forward?
Okay. What do these cabinets look like?
Well, you stop a moment and you look at the cabinets, and they're all made of very fine wood. And the handles are shaped like goat horns, made out of silver. Do you want to open one of the cabinets?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh,
We're hungry.
You might discover something.
Let's find something. That or follow the smell of baking bread.
Well, let me ask you a question. You said it smells like smoke. Is it like something's on fire smoke, or is it like barbecue, like meat's a barbecue and smoke?
Like meat's a barbecue and smoke.
Okay. All right. That's a good room. You picked a good room.
So
all
you
right.
open the cabinet,
So far.
and inside, the bottom has plates, like they're being stored there. And the second shelf has several jars. They definitely have something inside them, but it's hard to see without picking one of them up. If you want to examine them more closely, you'll be investigating a mysterious object.
Why do we open the cabinet without looking?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at what it is.
I'm sorry, you dropped out though. If I want to look closely, what did you say? I'm sorry.
You'll be investigating a mysterious object.
Okay, definitely.
All right. What is your first
So there are four
question?
questions that go with that, Doug.
Yeah.
If you look at the main under moves, okay.
So I think, what is odd or uncanny about this jar?
So you pick it up and bring it down to eye level so you can see what's inside it. And it's this kind of thick jelly, because there are objects embedded in it, and they don't move freely, but they kind of move a little because everything inside jiggles.
Mm-hmm.
And so you turn it so you can see, and you can tell. That's disturbing. The Siri on my phone is talking.
That is disturbing.
It happens occasionally. Always appropriate during this game. So you turn the jar, and you can see the object embedded in the jelly is an eyeball. But there's something about it that looks really familiar, and then you realize it's because it has that horizontal pupil like Gordon has. So this is a jar full of goat eyes.
Okay.
And as you look at the one eye, you've stopped moving the jar, but just that one eye, it turns a little. What's your second question?
It must have been the inertia.
My second question, I guess, is why did Bluebeard keep this? Why collect goat eyes?
Rituals.
I like that you're all providing answers. I appreciate that. So you turn it a little bit more, and you can see that one of the eyes is not a goat eye. One of the eyes is this bright blue, kind of icy blue, with a round pupil. It also looks like some of the gelatin around it is missing, like spoonfuls have been taken out. Do you want to open up the jar and try what's inside?
I want to at least smell it.
Oh my gosh, so naive.
Why? Why not?
Players are the
smelling
best.
goat eyes or bad smelling goat eyes?
So you open up the jar, and you take a whiff.
Mm-hmm.
And it smells, it's this meaty kind of sweet smell. The mix of the gelatin and the eyes. Do you want to try some?
Yeah, our stomach begins to like rumble with the smell. It's a really, actually very delicious smell. And that was a long, long time ago.
I mean, you know,
Which, are
I'm
you
not
looking
gonna.
for a spoon?
I'm not going to dirty my hands. Yeah, is there a spoon around?
So you look
good.
around.
Yeah.
At least one sister is being dragged unwillingly into this. So you look around, and directly below that cabinet is a drawer, and you pull it open, and there are spoons there.
Is there a knife?
Clean?
And a knife and forks.
Grab the knife.
Okay.
Crap.
Ooh, that is a good. So I'll grab the knife. So let me take a spoon. I'm just gonna take a little taste. I'm not gonna like scoop in and get an eyeball. It's just like a little.
So you take the spoon and you very delicately take out scoop. You have to make this little channel of the jello.
Okay.
Of the jelly between the eyes. And you pull it up, and you can see there's like these little filaments inside of the jelly.
Like.
You're not sure. Just
Like
these
capillaries.
thin, almost thread-looking things. So you bring it up, and you take a taste, and it tastes amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's like meat if meat was made out of butter. Together, it's a savory richness.
Oh my gosh, another bite, another bite, another bite.
Well, is there?
Who is that? The witch?
Someone has gone over to the inside.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
You know what?
Oh my god, it's so incredible. Did you taste that?
Yes,
You know,
but
You
it
could
would be better with bread.
I was going to
Exactly.
say,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
the only
let's
thing
go
that would
with
make
some
this
bread.
better
You
is some
need a little
fresh
meat on those
baked
bones
bread.
anyways.
Yeah.
That's true. Let's go. You know what? I'm going to keep this in mind.
Are you
Let's
taking the
go.
jar with you?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Come
Yeah,
on.
grab another one.
Yeah.
Grab another one while you're at it.
I only have so much, I can hold. But
Well, we don't want to run out.
I can't eat the whole jar at once anyway, can I?
Now, it's up to you whether you want to grab a second jar or not. There is a second jar there full of eyes and jelly if you want to take it with you.
Well,
I mean,
guess we're
at
not
this point, I think it's as much about just comfort as it is about hunger, right? It's like all these creepy things have happened. It's like, oh my gosh, that just touches something that's really inside, very, primitive eating.
Sure, yeah. So let's take the jar. Before I go too much further down this, it's like a hallway, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I want to sort of take stock of the situation as I did see someone walking back and forth in front of what I think is a fireplace.
But
I
this
just want to...
is not a tense situation.
Oh, okay.
No one's threatening you. You have nice comfort food of eyeballs.
It's kind of relaxing, frankly.
Yeah, well, there is that. Is there a beer or anything lying around?
All right, if we're going to go get bread for our eyeball jelly, we probably should also look for, like, wine or ale or something like that.
Yeah.
And make
That's why I asked about the beer.
Of course.
I think
buttery
meat on toast,
delicacies.
it needs, I think, like a nice cold beer, personally.
Let's call it ale. Yes.
So, do you guys want to go further down this hallway into the room proper?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not Crips.
Jar.
I mean, it's so much better.
You have your jar, you have your spoon, You have your candle. And you walk to the end of this area. In front of you is this big wooden table. It has a cutting board, a wooden one, laying on top of it. But you can see from the scarred surface that the table has been used as a cutting board as well. And there is a large butcher's knife on the cutting board, along with some meat. In front of you is this very large fireplace. There is enough room. I mean, it's almost big enough for a person to walk into. So there's enough room for several fires, one of which has a kettle hung over it that's bubbling, and you can see there's some sort of stew inside. Another one that has a kettle hung over it that isn't whistling yet, but it's steaming. And in the back, there's this open compartment that has a covered pan in it. And you would know from your time helping your family that this type of fireplace, that is a oven. And that seems to be where the smell of baking bread is coming from. Now, there is a person in front of the fire, and they turn around whenever you come in. It's an older woman. She has silvery hair that's pulled back in a bun, very nice, neat clothing, except as she turns around, you can see there is blood spattered all over her apron. But she turns around and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you startled me."
And I say, "Oh, yes, I am Mrs. Bluebeard. I don't think we've met yet."
Mrs. Bluebeard.
I've just come from my wedding. And who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am the cook. I'm Abigail. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were here yet. Please sit down. I see you've already gotten some of the preserves. Sit down, and I would love to make you some tea.
Oh, that would be wonderful. And is that bread that I smell?
Yes, it is almost done. Would you like a piece?
Please, Abigail.
You know how weddings go. They never get to the bride and groom to give them proper food. It's just champagne the whole time.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I bet champagne and cake, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Did
looking
you
for
bake
something
the
a little
cake?
bit more hearty.
No, it was a baker in town who baked the wedding cake.
Oh.
And she is fussing with cups while she's talking, and you sit down, and it's nice and warm in here. It smells really good.
You know, Abigail, I couldn't help but notice the front of your apron.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would have changed that if I had known I would be in your presence. I was just, and she gestures at the cutting board. I was just getting tomorrow's dinner ready.
Oh, okay, good. Because I thought for a moment there that perhaps something had happened to you.
Oh no. I find whenever we get fresh meat, it's better for me to cut it up myself rather than to let one of the butchers do it, because the master, he's very particular about how small the chunks of goat are in his stew.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know, I have a very close friend that's a goat. My family's goat. How often does the master eat goat?
It's one of his favorite meats. We have it quite often, and I mean this. And she gestures again at the table, and you can see there are scraps of hide among the meat.
Okay. Where does he get his goats from?
Oh, I mean, it depends. Sometimes we'll go to local farmers, or if somebody is, offering goats for sale in the village marketplace, we'll buy them there too.
Did we bring Gordon to the wedding, by the way?
The goat was not at the wedding.
Okay. It's very close family, almost a family member, but okay.
Yeah,
he provides for the whole family with his milk and cheese.
He does, but your mother thought that was a step too far, and she would not allow Gordon at the wedding.
No, sure.
Eventually we relented.
We made sure our sister brought him home a piece of cake, though.
Yes. Yeah. So the woman is making tea for you now. The kettle's whistling, and she gives you a cup of tea and then goes back and she's fussing with the bread. Now the tea, it smells a little different than the tea you normally drink at home. Mm-hmm. It smells a little more bitter. But do you drink it?
So, not immediately. I'll say, Abigail, we only really drink thistle tea at home. What kind of tea is this?
Oh, that has thistle in it, but I also put in some rose hips, and then she kind of stops. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're self-conscious about your figure."
About my figure? Whatever do you mean?
Well, I heard that the new mistress was a bit on the skinny side. So I added a little bit of rose hips and a few other things to kind of just, help you. And she gestures at your chest, like.
Oh. And I'll say, Abigail, this is my wedding night, and I appreciate your advice. And I am a little nervous about tonight. Is there any other advice that you have? I want to please, the master of the house the best I can.
I don't think you're trying to trigger a move here.
Yeah,
although you're
I don't
doing
know
something
what move
interesting.
I would be.
So she pulls out the bread as she considers your question. And she puts it down and takes it out and starts slicing it. When she starts slicing it, you notice there's something odd about the bread. As she cuts into it, as each slice falls over, you can see the center of it. There is this white ooze that comes out. It's very, gooey. So she's considering it.
Yeah.
The question.
Abigail, are you sure that bread is done baking? It seems raw in the middle.
Oh, no, my dear. It merely has cheese in the middle. We got some fresh goat cheese, and so I baked it into the bread. And she hands you a slice and says, "Here, it'll help put some flesh on your bones."
I do love goat cheese, so I'll eat it.
Okay.
Maybe first I'll cut it in half, because maybe I want to put some of the jelly on half. But then
jelly, yes.
I don't know.
Meaty jelly on goat cheese. That's my favorite.
So you cut it in half and you smear some of the jelly on it. And whenever you take a bite, oh, this is heaven. This is the best thing you've ever eaten. And before you know it, you've finished the entire slice. And Abigail places another in front of you, and she stands back and she watches you eat.
And I offer her some.
She smiles and shakes her head. "Oh, no, dear. I need to watch my weight."
I don't think we can stop. I think we're just going to gobble up the next piece and then get another piece.
It has been a stressful day.
It has been, and at the moment I'm feeling really glad that I married into this family because this food is so good.
You are? Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, right.
So this time, she takes what's left of the loaf and puts the whole thing in front of you. And you find yourself just tearing into it with your hands. And you're just pulling bits of it apart and stuffing it in your face so fast you're starting to choke a little. You can't breathe. But you keep pushing this bread into your mouth. And then you reach over and
maybe I want to... Oh.
Oh, no, you should probably stop me.
Okay. I want to take stock of the situation here, then.
That's a great idea.
All right.
I've never eaten so gluttonously before. What's happening? Why do I feel this way?
So what's your question?
I want to ask, what horror here is hidden from the bride?
So you find yourself reaching down into that jar and getting a handful, and oh yes, you have an eye in your hand. and you shove that into your mouth, and whenever you bite down, you feel the eyeball kind of, it starts to give a little, like you can feel the pressure of the eyeball, and then your teeth puncture it and it pops, and suddenly there's all this wetness inside of your mouth, and you're just chewing and chewing, and you look down, you realize that your feet have started to swell, and your chest is swollen, and you're overflowing your corset, and your fingers are chubby, but you're still so hungry.
Mm.
Did you just shiver? Okay. I think you just shivered.
Who shivered?
You!
Me?
Yes. Yes, Doug, you made a noise.
Oh, did I? It's possible. Okay.
Rewind the tape.
You seemed kind of freaked out by that.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you afraid is going on here?
I guess I'm afraid that things are going too far and that I'm not going to be able to rewind what's already been done.
You have to be a little more specific. What are you afraid is going to happen right now?
That I'm going to just continue eating all of these crazy things uncontrollably.
And your body's already loading out, right?
Yeah. It's really fat.
They're fattening you up for something.
For something, yeah.
All right. Now, if you want to keep the ring, you'll choose two of the options. If you want to pass it, you only have to choose one.
Okay. So I'm going to pass the ring to the witch, and I'm going to choose it has the bride in its clutches right now.
Excellent. So you notice you're swelling, but you can't stop eating. And you continue to shovel the bread and the jelly in your face. And you can actually feel your lips are starting to split from the strain.
Oh, it's a good thing we brought that extra jar, huh?
It was so delicious.
We should sip some of the tea. Maybe the bitterness will help cleanse the palate, and we can stop.
It might, because you realize it's bitter because you've actually been so careless shoving food in your face that you've started biting your own fingers, and that's your blood in your mouth.
Oh, gee.
I know it's mean of me to laugh. Sorry.
The pain in our fingers suddenly does cause us to realize quickly, oh my gosh, what's going on? And we greedily and very clumsily grab for the cup of tea and try to just wash everything down with the tea.
So you pour the tea down your throat, and Abigail's smiling, and she reaches into the fireplace and she pulls out another loaf of bread. And she starts cutting it. And she's kind of humming. And she's cutting it with a bloody knife she had used to cut up the meat earlier. So now there's blood on the cheesy bread that she puts in front of you.
I lift up the bread, and the urge to eat it is so
overwhelming.
Great. But can I overcome that urge with violence?
With violence? Excellent.
Well,
what are you going to try to violently shove the food away from you, or are you going to try to attack Abigail so she'll stop feeding you?
Actually, both. Abigail is leaning over and looking at me, with sort of large eyes as she plants this next loaf in front. And I take the slice that's offered, and I look up at her. And as I raise it as if to my mouth, suddenly I'm able to actually push my hand towards her face and try to shove it into her open mouth.
Go ahead and dirty yourself with violence and roll plus carnality.
So I rolled a 9. That's total 9.
All right. Now, do you want to disable Abigail, silence her or mutilate her?
I would like to disable her, to somehow crush the spell that's on me somehow, so that I will stop having that urge. So disable, yes.
So you want to disable her, and all you've got is this bread in your hand.
Yeah.
So what is it you have in mind on making her stop?
I'll be shoving it into her mouth. She doesn't want to eat it. She's watching her figure. Just shoving it into her mouth and like pushing it so far that at some point she'll be forced to swallow.
Okay. Now, you also have to choose one from the list below. Which one of those options do you want?
I would say that my vulnerability, because I'm still not completely out of the spell, gives me an opening to inflict trauma.
Okay. So you reach forward and you shove the bread in her mouth, and she gags on it. She's choking, and she looks mad as she reaches down and grabs a big hunk of bread and shoves it in your mouth. So the two of you start wrestling over the table. But Abigail is a much bigger woman than you are. I mean, she has muscles from cutting up goats. So she is able to slam your head against that bloody table, which makes you not only swallow the bread in your mouth, but you bite your tongue. And you feel a little bit come off. And you feel the urge. Oh, that urge is still there. And you swallow the tip of your own tongue.
Oh.
And it tastes good.
Yeah.
So go ahead and take a trauma.
Okay. In fact, I am not going to take the trauma for the team. Everyone will have to take the trauma.
What? The horror of having swallowed the tip of your own tongue?
And the memory of the deliciousness. And then at any time looking at my own body and thinking, oh my God, I taste so good.
You do. But Abigail, after that, she lets go of you, and she's like trying to choke up the bread, and she's kind of turning blue a little bit. But she has stopped feeding you for the moment.
Yes.
I need to pass the ring to Mother.
Oh.
I think Mother knows how to deal with food.
Okay. So she's choking. Is she starting to turn blue?
Yeah. Yeah, she can't breathe.
Is she?
Save her.
So let me ask you a quick meta question. Should I sort of like act as the, I don't know, like the only source of rationality in this nightmare, or should I contribute to it and try to twist it up more?
That is entirely up to you.
Okay, all right. So
I love that question, though. That is an excellent question.
Oh, thank you. So I sit back and I say, Mother, you look like you could use some more. And so I take a piece of the bread and I shove it into her mouth.
So you do that, and she's so concerned with the bread in her throat that she can't really fight you off. Do you put more bread in her mouth?
I hold her, I take her by the hair and pull her head back and pour tea down her mouth.
And she chokes, and you can tell that the tea must be going in her lungs because she's making this weird whistling sound, and she kind of falls down on the floor, and she's still blue, and she's still struggling, and she's kicking, and she actually reaches out to you.
I take her hand and I take a cup of tea and I just sip it as I watch her dying.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
such a waste.
If you wanted to, you could talk to her. If you wanted to use your move.
She's choking. She's choking. Oh,
my
move. What is my?
No, not right. Wait.
It's Mother. It's Mother.
Who has the Viper move? That's the Fatale, isn't it?
That's Witch. That's a Witch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if the Witch wanted to talk to her, she could.
What is the Viper move?
That's true.
What is the Viper move?
The viper is when you care for a servant by poisoning them with your lies.
Well, you're not really
on your words and die.
caring for them.
That's right.
I mean,
But you took her hands.
Right.
I mean, it's
So
a form of caring.
let's do the viper.
Yes, so I would say that what I suggest we do is we actually do talk to her and we say, oh, Abigail. Is the cook's name's Abigail?
Yeah.
Abigail, your hospitality is so wonderful. I would love to have you cook for me again.
She starts convulsing. As you say this, she starts jerking on the floor like she's going into a seizure.
Your food, I can't wait to return back to this kitchen and enjoy the food and spend every meal with food that you've cooked for me.
And white foam comes out of her mouth and starts spilling down her chin.
You're going to need to help her before, if you ever want that to be true.
What? Oh, I don't think I mean it. I don't think we mean it at all, do we?
No.
And I continue telling her how wonderful it is to enjoy our food. How I look forward to living here in Blackbeard's house with this wonderful cook until.
And she stops breathing. She stops seizing, and she just lays on the floor staring at you with unblinking eyes. For you have killed Abigail.
You saw what they did to adulteresses. What are they going to do to a murderer?
I think that we might have been murdered ourselves. This is a way to deal with those kind of threats.
So I have to ask, because you guys all seem very sure about what's going on here. Do you want to propose the truth about the room? Yeah?
Yes. Well, Mother, do you wish to do that?
I'm trying to formulate something. I'm thinking.
Well, you said earlier you thought they were fattening us up so they could cook us and eat us
Right.
or something, right?
There's sort of a gluttony aspect, and there is a sort of cannibalism aspect, and poor Gordon. I mean, I'm afraid Gordon is involved somehow.
That's my fear too.
At the onset of this, they were just trying to make it so that we were a little bit more vivacious for Bluebeard. At least that's what it seemed to me. There may have been a little gone too far.
Well, there's also that aspect too. The aspect of someone like taking over your person for their pleasure. I mean, that's terrible also.
What do you think?
I don't know.
I mean, at the end, it is the mother's decision. She has the ring.
Oh, I do. Oh, okay.
That's right.
Actually, I think when I got cut off, I was saying I was voluntarily giving it to the witch so that he could do his viper move.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to declaim responsibility and have the witch propose a truth, that's totally cool.
Okay.
Okay. Absolutely. Abigail is here to lure, unsuspecting guests, including potential brides, and completely fatten them up for the next meal. It's kind of like a self-perpetuating meal. You fatten them up, then they become part of the next meal for the next person who gets fattened up for the next meal.
This is a strange take on the endless stew.
I love the endless stew, by the way. Sorry, it's like one of my favorite things.
And
okay.
she never needs to go shopping, right?
No.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask, since you proposed this truth about the room,
Yes.
do you want to take a token of faithfulness or disloyalty?
This one feels to me like the wrong kind of thing is happening here. I don't think that my husband should be employing a cook who gets rid of guests and brides. No, absolutely disloyalty.
And what is it that you were going to actually take from the room?
The empty
slice
jar.
Oh, it's so empty.
Yeah. The jar. It's now empty, yes. I was going to
The jar.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, you guys have filled up a track, and you have filled up the disloyalty track.
Oh.
So that means
Of course we did.
Well, it happens. It's a thing. So that means now we're going to go to the end game. So the second part of your move sheet, or on the back if you printed two-sided, there's a sheet called the final room. And what's going to happen now is as you back away from Abigail's body, your eyes land on the key ring, and specifically on one key, the key Bluebeard told you not to use. And so you pick up the key ring, and suddenly you know where to go. Your feet take you directly to the door that matches that key. So you are approaching the final room as a disloyal bride. And you should tell me if you're going to present your tokens to the town to try and prevent Bluebeard from killing anyone ever again, or if you're going to run away and try to start anew. But first, let me tell you what happens in the room. You get to that door, and you use the key. You put the key in the lock, you turn the key, you open the door, but you do not go inside. Because you can see everything you need to see standing from the doorway. It is a study. It's furnished in this very masculine manner. It has these big leather chairs in front of the fireplace and a big desk. There are stuffed birds on the walls and books bound in leather. The room smells a lot like Bluebeard, that clove and leather smell. And along one wall is a shelf. And on that shelf are a set of glass jars. There are 7 of them. And inside each jar, suspended in liquid, is a human heart. The last jar is empty. And so you back away from that room, shaking, knowing that your husband has been killing other women. You saw what happened in the crypt. You saw that strange cook, and all of this works together, and he is part of it. So, are you going to go to the town and tell them what you found? Or are you going to run as far away as you can get and hope he never finds you?
So who's choosing here?
Oh, you can all discuss it.
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
He's gonna get us if we run away. We should tell people.
That sounds like a vote for run away.
No, that's a vote for telling people because
Really?
safety in numbers. Distance is never going to save us.
he'll know that we told.
You know, I'd rather it be 50 against 1.
So
Well,
what about the rest of you?
I feel like we should tell because that's the way I feel the bride has behaved thus far. She wanted to help the woman with the sewed mouth. She wanted to help the adulteresses who were aflame. Abigail was just pure chefly evil, so that's no helping involved there.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like the bride would want to bring justice and would probably, tell people.
I think that's what we should do. What about you, Fatal?
I think that if we tell, we may save some people, but our life is still going to be ruined if we do this. I think the only way to seek any solace for us is to run away.
So which way are you voting?
I would vote for
To run away? Okay.
You are, however, outvoted.
I am.
So, what we'll do now is we're going to go around. I'm going to ask some questions, and that will tell us how your specific fairy tale ends.
Okay.
So, Mother,
Yes.
you went to the town, and you told them what you had found. You showed them the shears and the burnt slip and the jar, and you told them about the study. So now tell me, what did the town do to the bride to rid themselves of her disloyal ravings? For they did not believe you.
They took me and shaved my head and bound me in a black sack, read the Bible to me, and then threw me off the cliff.
Wow.
It's a mean town.
Whoa, disloyalty to your husband is...
Now they did that to you, but you survived the fall, although you were bent and twisted and in constant pain afterwards. So, Virgin, tell me, what reason does the bride give for Bluebeard not divorcing her? What do you tell people?
What reason do I give that Bluebeard did not divorce me?
Mm-hmm.
Why did Bluebeard not divorce me? Because he knew that divorce was what I wanted, so he refused to give that to me. He continued to, keep me trapped in this horrific marriage.
Yes, you are still married to him, although you no longer live with him, and you do have trouble getting around. So tell me, Witch, how do you scrape together a living without living in your husband's house? Gordon is gone.
It is so shameful. All the townspeople, everyone I know, basically shuns me. Mm-hmm. I can barely go in and do business with, for example, someone else to get some food. I spend a lot of time to just get basic food by foraging in the forest, but it is barely enough. And so I have taken to going and doing the most menial of tasks, like cleaning out the stables, which would never be given to a woman in this town,
No.
And much less a half-crippled woman like me after I was thrown off the cliff. It's very disgraceful.
You should become the seed Kona on the outside of the village where people come to you.
Well, we have one last question, and this is for the Fatale. What loving gift does Bluebeard send you every year for your wedding anniversary?
Loving or spiteful?
Loving.
Spiteful gift would be dancing shoes.
Very fairy tale appropriate.
Right. And especially since we can't dance anymore, and that was what he promised us before. I think the loving gift that he sends us is a meat pie. Because it is something we can't quite get anywhere else because of our situation. So there's a freshly baked meat pie every year.
So I have to ask, do you eat it?
Yes.
And this is how your fairy tale ends, with you living broken in a hovel on the outskirts of the village, reduced to foraging for food and doing menial, embarrassing tasks. And you know Bluebeard still lives in his house, and he waits. And that is the end, and thank you so much for playing with me.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Now, I am going to end the broadcast here, although I'm going to stay online in case you guys want to talk. So say goodbye to the internet.
Bye, Internet.
Bye.